God damn, Gary. Some serious gourmet shit. What flavor is this?
That's right, it's the all-hell medium roast private blend.
Check out the Geek Grind Coffee Nerdrotic page for our other options like the Decadent, Feathers of Liberty, vanilla-infused flavored coffee.
Or if you're looking for something darker, try the Dark Roast FNT blend of the Fellowship. You know what? Just buy all three. GeekGrindCoffee.com. Use discount code Nerdrotic. Huzzah!
I learned a long time ago that there's no sense getting all riled up every time a bunch of idiots give you a hard time. In the end, the universe tends to unfold as it should. Plus, I have a really large penis. That keeps me happy.
These are daggers dropped by my men that were slaughtered by an ice troll in the Second Age. But I do not like to talk of such things. And for you, Legolas, this is a new bow, so that you may kill a troll as quickly as I did, in under 10 seconds. And for Samwise Gamgee, rope forged from the hair of an ice troll that I killed many years ago. And for Frodo, the bottled tears of an ice troll. Did I mention I killed an ice troll many years ago, in under 10 seconds? Fare thee well, my friends, and may these gifts forged from the body of an ice troll that I killed many years ago in the Second Age in under 10 seconds. Fare you well on your journey.
Salon Selectives presents hair so beautiful you feel like you just stepped out of a salon.
Salon shine, Salon Selectives, Salon glow, Salon Selectives.
Introducing Salon Selectives, new from Helene Curtis. 4 salon shampoos, 4 salon conditioners. You select the combination that will give you salon beautiful hair.
Salon style.
Feel salon beautiful every day.
Salon Selectives.
The Young and the Restless. This portion sponsored by Oil of Olay.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Do you want to take a life? Do you want to cross that line? Because it's a long way back from hell.
Nerdrotic.com.
Hello, my lovelies. Hello. Welcome, fellowship, to the last Nerdrotic Nooner of 2023. You always got to get that one in before the end of the year, although you still have time. You know what I'm saying?
the best for last.
That's right, X-Ray Girl. Save the best for last. We have a lot to talk about today, including Rings of Power. Rings of Power Season 2 is going to be an epic, glorious disaster. Doctor Who has been an epic, glorious disaster. Hollywood has been an epic, glorious disaster, and it looks like things are going to get much, much worse in 2024 because they don't have anything coming out. So we will discuss all of those things with our good friend, the Professor of Nerd, Chris Gore from Film Threat. What's up?
Well, thank you for that introduction, Gary. Appreciate it. Yeah, 2023. As if things could get any worse, we're looking ahead at 2024, and yes, it gets worse. So yeah, can't wait to talk about it. But wow, I was struggling. Also, I'm putting together my top list of the year. Alan and I are going to go over it on our stream later, and it was like, wow, there really wasn't. I mean, there are some standouts, and certainly Godzilla -1, I think, surprised everybody. But wow, what a year that sometimes you're like struggling, like, oh wow, there's so many good. Nope, they're not. And most stuff is mid, so it doesn't even make a worst list. So it's like, is it even deserving of being worst? It's not in a lot of ways. So there you go. I gotta say, I love X-Ray Girl. Watch you guys on Real BBC yesterday. So much fun. And X-Ray Girl's mug. If you're not watching this, if you're only listening, you're only getting half the show. So
I present to you my Unt mug.
Yes, for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen to this fine podcast, X-Ray Girl is drinking out of a mug that says UNT, U-N-T, and the little handle makes a C.
It's black.
And it's black.
I don't know if that means anything, but you know.
Probably means you're just racist like the rest of us.
Oh no.
just pointing out. Glad you're here. You're the man. You sent me the article that we're going to talk about today. So thanks. I think it gets into the data, and we'll talk about it. First, we have
people.
Exodus Agu.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, as you should always say to me, hello, otherwise I don't hear you because I'm super racist and you need to speak my language in order for us to converse. So, yes, I'm excited. I want to hear what the boys have to say because that's what you're here for.
Mahler was talking about it yesterday. We need to find that clip from Scary Movie 4 with Anna Faris and the Grudge, and the girl's there, and she goes, hello, and the girl doesn't answer, and then she goes, hello.
Or even better, from A Christmas Story, when they say, fa ra 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 ra. That's another good one. Or a clip we've shown, the Iron Craw. No, not Craw.
Craw. The Iron Craw. Oh, we also maybe could... Maybe some
Iron Craw.
Maybe some Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles.
Yeah. You just got to.
That's where that sound comes from, by the way.
Okay, and then we'll go to a shitty walk after.
Shitty walk. Can I take your order, pre? Oh, God. Oh, and that last South Park. Did you see it, Chris? Did you see the not suitable for children?
Yeah, no, we talked about it last week.
Okay, we did. All right, sorry.
Yeah, Cred. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with that Cred song.
I apologize.
It's such a good episode. No, dude, my brain is frazzled from the holidays. So
I am burnt, dude.
Same. I'm like, yeah. And I never rest. I never sort of just like stop and go like, all right, I don't have something to do. And so I'm trying to do that, but unsuccessfully.
Yeah. I'm resting. I'm doing it. It's just not enough because I'm getting up there. Yeah. And hello, chat. Hello, Modrotics. I guess the first thing we can talk about is, because I have it up. Let's just get right to that article you sent me. What do you say?
Well, can I just preface this a little bit?
Absolutely.
This is okay. So this is written by a guy named David Poland, who I have known for years. I consider him a friend in the industry. He's been writing about the business since the 90s. And he has a column called The Hot Button. That's what this is from. It's from his Substack and whatnot. He's an independent journalist. He is not a shill. He admits he has biases. There's certain filmmakers he likes, like Damien Chazelle. Fine. I have my certain biases, filmmakers that I like Scorsese, whatever. I think we all have people who creatives that we enjoy their stuff probably more. And he's like that as well. I've known him since the 90s. And like me, we're very politically different. He's very far progressive. I'm not like in certain things I am, but other things definitely not. And we've debated things like during the pandemic, the benefits of masks and whatnot. So we've disagreed on things, but guess what? I've always spoken to him. He's a guy I know I can always talk to, and he will talk to people. He'll talk to anybody. But the thing that I think that we have in common, both of us, is we're both kind of pariahs in the industry. Like we both been like independent journalists, and so we're not exactly accepted by the mainstream. And that's why I've always liked his work, because the thing that he does in the Hot Button is he looks at numbers, and he's not trying to spin that, well, Disney is winning or Marvel is winning. It's like, no, here's the data. And you'll give the straight up data. And that's one of his latest ones got my attention, which is why I sent it to you. So there you go. That's a little preamble there.
Yeah. And it's not looking good. And it's kind of eye-opening, the amount of wide releases. So there's full releases, right? There's everything that's going to be released in theaters, and then there's wide releases. And then within those wide releases, there are your big tent poles. And those are what drive Hollywood. That's what brings in all the money. So you can have all the other releases that are just in New York and LA and all these independent films. The big movies pay for everything. And not just in the theaters. There, with certain tent poles, there's merchandising and product placement and all that other bullshit. But that's what drives the market, is the big tent poles. Just like with the comic books, what drives the market is Marvel and DC.
And what you were pointing out yesterday on Real BBC was, I think in some other article you were reading, is that these big tentpole movies, when they underperform or they do poorly, that's bad for all movies. Because to get you in a theater, right, you're in a theater and you're going to see 20 minutes of trailers. And I actually don't mind it. It gives me a buffer so I can be late, which is good for you. And then also just like I want to get popcorn, I want to get settled, whatever. So I like that 20 minutes of trailers, but I do like to see if I haven't, I got to see all the new trailers. If I knew a new trailer is gonna be there, but like the big movies drive people getting there, and they see something like, oh, I'll check out this other smaller movie I was unaware of. I mean, we're painfully aware of everything, right? But the general public isn't, who just goes to the movie every once in a while. Like, we saw like Super Mario hit 1 billion, earlier this year. That's huge. I mean, I thought maybe it was possible, but Jeremy from G&G, he got it right. He predicted that one, which is crazy. But that I guarantee the people that went to see Super Mario Brothers in a theater are not regular moviegoers. They saw the one movie they wanted to see. It was a big film. It got them to the theater, and maybe they saw something else, or like, oh, in a few months we'll go catch that one, because going to the movies is a lot of fun. Even if the movie's bad, the popcorn is generally excellent. So there you go.
Yeah. And I think for the next Mario Brothers movie, Super Mario Brothers, they really need to focus more on story, which they can do, and it could do just as well. But if it's, I don't know, I don't care about Super Mario Brothers. It was a fine movie. I didn't hate the experience at all. I thought it was really cool looking, but I needed way more story. And if you want to level up to something like early Pixar, you need to tell a better story, which they can do. We will see. But you're right. There were successes, but they were just dwarfed by all the effing failures. Barbie didn't help Warner Brothers make a single dollar this year. Okay, it helped Mattel. I'm sure it helped Mattel quite a bit, but it didn't help Warner Brothers enough to overcome all the flops from just the DCEU. It's a bad year, and the market driver is superhero movies, and they're on the way out. They just are. Not forever. They'll still make superhero movies, but they will no longer be the driver of the market. And they haven't been. The bigger movies, one of the biggest movies of the last 2 years are not superhero movies. Avatar, Super Mario Brothers, Oppenheimer, Barbie. Those aren't superhero movies. So, and Top Gun the year before. So it's already, kind of on its way out. And it doesn't help that they don't tell good stories. That's the primary problem. So we get to this article, the hot button. Chris's preface, he's an independent, but he's not somebody you can put in necessarily politically on one side. Well, he's definitely on one side, but
he has his own personal views, but it's like that doesn't inform the data, right? The data is the data. And
he doesn't let it infect that, which is good. That's what a journalist should do.
Right. I've never found him to be hyperbolic or leaning. He doesn't particularly love or dislike superhero movies. It's just, show me a good movie. If it's a superhero theme, fine. But he's not like, I wouldn't consider Dave Poland a geek or a nerd or even like against that. And he tends to also not attack people, but he'll point out when people have stupid takes. Right. And we've debated a lot, which is why I've always enjoyed. Every time I see him, we at a screening, we always have a good conversation, but like we disagree about a lot of stuff. So that's that's what I've admired about him, but he tells it like it is. And you're not getting that from the traditional trades as much. Occasionally they're honest. And I love when those articles come up.
Well, lately
they have no choice.
They have no choice. They have no choice. This has been And there's been so many articles, Chris, of like, what's gone wrong? This has been a bad year. So if they're saying it's been a catastrophe. It's been an absolute catastrophe because that is them still putting some icing on it. You know what I mean? It's bad. And then what we're hearing internally of just like, oh shit. So the strike did everything the producers needed it to do, which was help contract an industry that they couldn't openly contract. You can do layoffs. You can cancel a project here and there. But if you start like canceling multiple projects openly, that affects your investments too. But if everybody goes on strikes, you're like, hey, we tried to make this, but we don't have any money anymore. Sorry. And the WGA and the Film Actors Guild walked right into it because they're paranoid about AI, something they can't stop anyway. Just pointing it out, like it or not, you can't stop it. It isn't terrible. Okay, so this is the hot button. A look at into 2024 at the box office. It isn't terribly promising, though. The first 8 months of the year, 34 weeks, there are only 42 new wide releases on the schedule at this point. Last year, there were 77. That's almost half, Chris.
Yeah.
It's almost halved. And what have we been saying? Your industry is about to be halved. How can movie theaters even try to compete with even 2023 with 46% fewer movies? Well, I'll say, if they're not woke shit, it might work out for them. If they are, it won't. If they tell it, we'll see. 2023 took in 1.5 billion, 21% leap over 2022, which was a year of reduced releases. So you can't even really count that. As some writers love to squeal, it still isn't what it was in 2019 or 18, the number 1 and number 3 highest grossing domestic years in history, pre-COVID. But the increase this year suggests a pretty full recovery of the marketplace. Not really, but not the amount and range of product being brought to market. Now, I'll wait. I'll give him a chance to explain himself. Yeah. But does he bring up ticket sales, actual tickets sold to people, not dollars. Okay. 'Cause-
Not in the, I haven't read the full review, just the abstracted version.
I will point out that they stopped reporting ticket sales in 2019. They just stopped reporting. So but the guess is it's anywhere between 30 and 40% down. And this is how the comic industry inflated their numbers forever, aside from variance, is they just started charging fewer people more money. Right. But it doesn't mean your industry's growing at all.
That's exactly the only industry, the only actually country that reports number of people who have seen a movie is France. Of all things, the French, not known for innovation, I'll just say. I know that sounds horrible, but well, it doesn't actually, now that I say it out loud. I agree with my statements. The one thing I think the French get right is they count people who have seen a film. So forget the money, because ticket prices vary, inflation, etc. Put money aside. How many people went to see a movie? And you have to do some weird math to even figure that stuff out. France, not only does France report the number of people who purchased a ticket, the number of people who have seen a movie, even if a critic goes to a free screening, they count that also. So if you look at like the number of people who've seen a film, one of the biggest movies ever in France, and it's being re-released in February, you should see this movie, X-Ray Girl, if you've never seen it. It's a French film called Amélie.
Yeah, Amélie's good.
Amélie is really good. And it's not like a movie. I mean, it's very romantic. It's weird. And I don't want to say anything about it. Not only did it one of the biggest movies ever in France, it's getting re-released in the United States. I'm sure there's some anniversary in February in time for Valentine's Day. And if you've never seen it, you should see that movie in a theater. It's fantastic. Not only did it influence the country in terms of one of the biggest movies ever to open in France in terms of number of people who saw that film, everyone got the haircut of the lead character, Amélie, in the movie. She has this very distinct haircut, and every girl got that haircut at that time in France. Okay, weird facts that I know that are irrelevant, and the Nooner audience could give two shits. So there you go. Moving on. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to stop talking now.
That's what you're here for, Chris.
I don't know. My dumb asides and weird diverts. Dude, my apologies. Gary.
We're nerds. That's what
All right,
we do.
Good.
That's what we do. No problem with it. So yeah, France they get some stuff right. There's a great Grand Tour special on French cars that you should see on how they're weird, but somehow still enjoyable. The French are weird. The French are strange, but they don't give a fuck, and that's something I do appreciate about the French people. I don't give a fuck what these English people think. Fuck them. They know nothing of food or art or anything. 2023 okay, I read that part. Consider also 910 total releases in 2019 and 993 releases in 2018 versus 498 releases in 2022 and 581 releases this year. So 2023 will be just 27% off of 2019 grosses with 33% fewer films in release. See the correlation? It is fair to look at the top 10 of 2019 and 2023 and see that this year was still $1 billion off domestically from that of 2019, which was insane, by the way. That was an insane year. However, 2019's top 10 is all top-end franchise IP, whereas the last two entries of 2023 top 10 are standalone Sound of Freedom and Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. And as great as number 5 Oppenheimer did, it is still a standalone.
I mean, that's interesting that these other big films, they're counting as big films, Sound of Freedom, are outside the system, right? Mm-hmm. So how many hits Taylor Swift, the Beyonce film, You could collectively take just all the Fathom Events releases, like so many films were released through Fathom Events this year. Like, take all of that. This is the pie of Hollywood shrinking, right? In addition to Indian cinema, other foreign films that are in release regionally. It's really interesting how much that's taking away from Hollywood. And you pointed out, this is in another article, Gary, that you talked about a while back, where producers thought, like, after the strike, like, writers are going to be working on little side projects. They're just going to, just sit there and write something on spec and have a whole bunch of new work, and nothing happened.
They really did put pencils down, the idiots.
Yeah, I know, it's so dumb. You could have written some interesting new spec thing that who knows where it could go, but like something, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen.
And that's our argument. You haven't been hiring writers. Writers write.
Yeah.
No matter what, they write. But now you have hired guns who can throw together sentences for Hollywood. That's all it is. It's not really a writer. You're an aggregator of shit, basically. And AI, quite frankly, it's a good argument for AI. You did it to yourselves.
Ooh, speaking of shit, I started to watch the new season of What If.
Oh, I haven't touched it yet.
It's so skippable. Like, first of all, why am I interested in What If? Because I love the What If comics. But the What If comics were really, really interesting because they took something iconic from an iconic moment from a superhero's identity, their past, right? Like, the death of Ben for, Peter Parker, or like the types of superpowers that a team has. I always love when they would do like, what if the Fantastic Four switched powers? Like, I love stuff like that. And this does none of that. The first episode is, what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? I'm like,
you didn't even establish the Nova Corps.
Right. But here's my whole thing.
They were in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they were destroyed. And
right. So here's about that episode. One, you have to know who Nebula is, right? Which most people, if you've seen, the Endgame and Infinity War or the Guardians of the Galaxy films, you know who Nebula is. But you also have to have seen Captain Marvel to know what the Nova Corps is. Like, you have to have seen, like, so this depends on a lot of knowledge that, again, it's everything that Marvel's doing now is you have to have seen all this stuff to understand the new stuff.
And
I don't want to. That's why Aquaman 2 was, I mean, pretty awful, but like also like somewhat enjoyable because I don't want to like have to know everything. Just tell me a dumb story, right? And well, not even, I mean, it is a dumb story, but just tell me a story that's not connected to a million other things. And it's also not connected to basic normie knowledge. I believe there's normie knowledge and nerd knowledge. And this What If season is like, it's not normie knowledge, it's nerd knowledge. You have to have seen all these other things to get it. It's not as simple as take a character and what if Bucky Barnes was Captain America, right? Or do you remember the old What If comics? I love What If.
Yeah, of course. I have them all.
Yeah.
And that would have been a great one. What if Bucky Barnes was Captain America like he was supposed to? But instead we got girl Captain America.
Right.
And yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. Plus, there's not enough iconic moments to do 2 full seasons of What If from the MCU. If you're doing them just from the MCU, there's not enough there. It worked for the comic books because there was decades of iconic moments that you could flip and do for hundreds of issues, or and not anymore. No, this I mean, honestly, there's probably like 5 good What Ifs from the MCU, and they haven't done them yet. So
yeah.
In the second half of the top 10, 6 through 10, the difference between Captain Marvel, Spider-Man Far From Home, Aladdin, Joker, and Jumanji 2 versus The Little Mermaid, Ant-Man 3, John Wick 4, Sound of Freedom, and Taylor Swift was $766 million. Almost, that's $750 million to you and me. Of course, in the end, none of that really matters so much. It is important perspective, as so many journalists misguide the public about what the status of theatrical is. But the bottom line is, asks no questions. I do 7 very specific questions.
Oh, you need to start your trial, Gary.
I'll start my trial.
Start the trial, but start it off screen. Start it off screen.
Start it off screen.
Yeah, because you don't want to get any private data in there. But if you start the trial, you can finish the piece. But
yeah, we're gonna finish the piece. We'll start the trial.
766 million. That's people who didn't go to the movies. Okay, that's that thing that we were talking about earlier, where big tentpole films bring people to the movies, and they will probably discover some other film or two that they want to check out based on trailers or just based on, hey, I forgot how much fun it is to go to the movies, right? Like, so.
Well, just off the top of your head, Chris, you've
Yes.
seen the release schedule. What's the first movie next year you're really interested in?
Well,
Like
Doom
big
Part 2.
Doom
There's
Part 2,
literally
which is
nothing.
March 1st. So 2 months of nothing.
Oh, I was doing the schedule for Film Thread for January. We always kind of map out a month in advance. Like, we set up our streams and we're like, well, what movie are we going to talk about that Friday? And it's like Night Swim is one of the movies. Like, it's all bad garbage January. It's Beekeeper is one of the films. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Beekeeper, Argyle, like these are like,
Argyle is February, the beginning of February.
Is there a $100 million domestic movie on the schedule before Dune 2 on March 1st? Can the Beekeeper or Argyle become the Megan of this January, February, or at least close? How much juice is left for them to squeeze in Kung Fu Panda, Ghostbusters, Godzilla, Kong, Alien, Saw, and in September, Transformers franchises? Is there much there for returning versions of hits like Mean Girls? No. The Omen? No. Garfield? No. Twister? Hell no.
No.
Beetlejuice? Yes. Beetlejuice people will go see Beetlejuice. And Smile? Maybe. I don't know about I think Smile, the next one could probably make money. How big? But it won't be a market driver.
No. The first Smile movie, that was supposed to be direct to Paramount Plus. I have a friend who works in marketing there, and he was telling me that movie they were just going to dump on Paramount Plus. They're like, let's release it in theaters. That was a hit based on its budget, which was super low. So those kind of ones kind of squeak through. Sorry to interrupt you, Gary.
It's all right. It's all good. How big can the films being counted on to be home run hitters be? The Fall Guy, maybe. If
did you see the trailer for that? Did you see the trailer for that?
For both of them, yeah. For both, for the Fall Guy.
And with Ryan Reynolds, look weird. I think the Fall Guy will do okay. If looks just stupid.
Yeah,
So.
it's hard to tell. I'm going to assume it all falls apart. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will do all right. Furioso will flop.
Yeah, I think
will
so as
absolutely flop because Mad Max Fury Road didn't do well in the theaters. People forget that. So Furiosa will not do well. Ballerina, which is the spin-off of John Wick, I don't think it'll do well. Inside Out 2, maybe. Bad Boys 4, which is coming out, which is complete, but I don't think it'll do anything better than Bad Boys 3 did. A Quiet Place, Day 1. Despicable Me 4. Deadpool 3 is the only one I have just mentioned that I think will hit $1 billion. I think Beetlejuice 2 will do well, at least its first weekend.
And Deadpool 3, I agree with you. It'll do well mainly because it's not being dragged down by any Marvel stuff. Like, there are no other Marvel movies coming out. You're not seeing a lot of big superhero films, right? DC is still like a ways off with Superman Legacy. I think Deadpool 3 will do very well. And also, Deadpool should just murder the MCU. It should literally be, if they're thinking of they should use Deadpool 3 as the palate cleanser reboot. And he should be making phase 4 and phase 5 jokes. He should be just like, obviously it's focused on the Fox, X-Men and whatnot, Fox properties. But I think Deadpool 3 will do. I'm kind of pumped to see it, just because also I know Ryan Reynolds doesn't care. He cares about the audience. And I think that I don't know that he's one of those that's rare, like him and James Gunn and Chris Nolan can sort of placate the corporate powers and do whatever the F they want for the most part.
Yeah.
So they play that game. They just know how to play that game. I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to thank you for these notes and then toss them away. I'm going to do what I want. You know, too much.
We'll
corporate.
see. I mean, like Deadpool 2 wasn't anywhere near as good as Deadpool 1. And now we're at Deadpool 3, which is 6 years later. It's a long time. And are we going to get another Deadpool after this?
I'm sure. No, I think it's done. I think it's done. I think it's done. I mean, if this is R-rated and does well, I don't know. Like,
but potentially, Chris, we're looking at a year with maybe $1 billion film. One.
Oh my God. Now that you say that, I'm looking at these movies. What is gonna pop? No one could have predicted Barbie, and I think Oppenheimer as well. No one predicted those. Okay. But of these, I'm looking Ballerina, no. Furiosa, no. Planet of the Apes, this is the fourth one, okay? Inside Out 2, that's Disney. Bad Boys 4, I don't know, man. And Quiet Place, I saw that Quiet Place. This is probably going to complete that story. The new Quiet Place, the second one, is like a prequel, which kind of ended a little bit on a cliffhanger. So I guess this completes that, but I think in my head, I think that's just streaming. Despicable Me 4, that'll do. That's Illumination. That could actually do okay because people turn out for those Illumination movies because they're just entertaining. They don't care. They're not trying to push anything. And those Illumination movies tend to overperform, oddly.
But like Deadpool 3 is the only thing I would say it's close to a sure thing. I'm pretty sure it's a sure thing.
Yeah.
It'll make it better.
But none of these, as I look at it, and that Godzilla Kong looks just bad. I mean, it looks
shitty.
The more I see of it, the more I'm like, especially standing in contrast to like, I have now seen Godzilla -1 a fourth time.
Nice.
Wow.
And I discovered there is Toho. Toho is like consolidated its franchises, or it knows what it has now. They're trying to treat it very seriously. There's a Godzilla like shop you can go to and get exclusive merch. You can pre-order the Godzilla -1 figure. It's
how
coming
big
out
is it?
I don't know. It's one of those.
It needs to be fucking big.
Yeah. If you go, I mean, you can get, there are various sizes.
What she said.
But if you go to Godzilla.com, you can see all the merch. I bought a bunch of these because they're running a sale. I bought a bunch of these books that are like these guidebooks to certain eras of Toho, and it's like incredible. I
will check it all out.
Yeah,
well,
check it out for sure.
Number 5. So we got number 5 here. And like that's the good. We got Kevin Costner is betting the farm literally. Yeah, he basically is fucking over the show that made him famous again.
Oh no.
To go make these two like westerns, and I'm all about westerns. Will his pair of Horizon and American Saga movies to be released in June and August be the box office smashes that he expects?
I don't know, man. Like, okay, so these are a pair of films that clearly connect. I don't know. I mean, has that ever worked? It was Back to the Future 2 and 3, but that was also released in the same year. It was summer and then
June and yeah, Christmas. Like that's. Whew, I don't know how he talked somebody into the budgets must be low. Not sure.
Yes,
we'll see. Like there will probably be a surprise. I think we can pretty much count on a surprise.
Yeah.
He didn't bring up Joker 2. That comes out this year.
Maybe later. Yeah. Is that out?
Is he talking about the first 6 months? Maybe.
I'm going to look at the schedule.
What will the movies that seem not quite as commercially significant as they hope, such as Madam Web, will be a massive disaster? That comes out in February.
I think so.
Bob Marley, One Love. It's a biopic. It's not going to make $1 billion. Arthur the King, Challengers, Civil War. Hey, he didn't mention
the American Society of Magical Negroes.
I think that's the runaway hit of 2023.
Well, first of all, that's a small indie that I think is just going to tank. I really think that movie is going to, it's going to get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 12%.
Yes. Absolutely.
Joker, Joker Folie et Deux Joker Part 2 is coming out October 4th,
Yes, it is.
2024. Yeah.
So maybe he's just talking about the first half of the year. Become another issue that is about the market, but not only the health of domestic exhibitors. The international market is recovering slower than the U.S. Canadian market. In 2019, international was 70% of the income for the top 20 movies, delivering $1.9 billion of Avengers Endgame, total gross $1 billion of The Lion King, CG experiences total, and $973 million for Frozen 2. In 2023, the highest international gross was Barbie with $806 million. Amazing for Barbie, not so exciting for the overall market. There are already a bunch of re-releases being scheduled across the year from the Pixar movies that went straight to D+. I love that people are starting to call it D+ now.
Failing grade. Failing grade.
They are starting to call it D+. Yes. 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 To Sony Classics scheduling Amelie for a return. There will be more. As for now, Universal has 8 films scheduled wide through September, with 2 more from Focus. Sony has 8 plus 1 from Crunchyroll. Lionsgate has 6. Paramount has 5. WB has 5. Disney has 4. 4.
Wow.
Wow. And the 3 re-releases from Pixar, MGM UA has 3, which is Amazon basically. Here is a list of what the 2023 looks like versus 2024 based on the wide releases. 8 months on this list, 6 different studios with the top release. They may be the most hopeful part. January 2023, 7 wide releases. Total of new releases, 179 million domestic. Top grosser, Megan, 95 million. January 2024, 6 new wide releases. February 2023, 10 new wide releases, 450 million. Ant-Man 3, 250 million was the biggest one. In February, they have 4 fewer wide releases with 6. March 2023 has had 10 wide releases. John Wick Chapter 4 was the biggest, and they have half that in March. They have 5 new wide releases. April, it's 14. This is bad. With Super Mario Brother, 575 million in that month, by the way. 804 million, I think, worldwide for that month. And so that's 14 wide releases, April 2023, April 2024. There's 4. There's 4. And that's a good month. That's spring. You know, that's the snow's starting to melt. There's spring break. There's 4 wide releases. 4. That's bad.
I mean, when you put the numbers like this is why I've always liked David's column. He just spells it out. Like this is the industry contracting, as you pointed out. And this, we already knew this was going to happen with TV and streaming. Now we're seeing it happen with theatrical.
And you know, it'd be interesting if he had compared those releases to 2019. I'm sure
right.
2023 will be less. So this is catastrophic. In May 2023, there were 10 new wide releases, including Guardians of the Galaxy, which took the month. In May 2024, there are 6. In June 2023, 9 new wide releases. We are in summer now. In June 2024, there are 5. July 2023, middle of summer, 8 new wide releases. This next year, there's going to be 4.
And one of those is Deadpool 3.
Yep.
So,
and Barbie took the month of July, obviously, but we had Barbenheimer. We also had Oppenheimer kicking some ass.
Right.
Then it just gets really fucking bad because there were 9 releases in August, and August is not considered prime time for summer. So you've already missed your prime time. So there are more releases in August than there are in July, which makes no fucking sense at all. There's only going to be 6 this year. So there was 9 this year, 6 next year. That's halving your industry. I wish I had better news for exposition. The poor theaters. There's no bailout this time. Once again, it has had to weather the excessively pointed questions of the media over the survival of movie theaters for multiple years. All the while, the most dangerous thing for film exhibition is not the changes in audience tastes. They have navigated that many times, but the failure of content companies to deliver enough content, not content, no. The failure of, well, that's your biggest problem. You have content companies now. You don't have movie studios. They are content companies. So that, I guess that's pretty accurate. That you need movie studios to make movies. And now they are competing against themselves because prestige series, in a lot of ways, are, to me, if it's done right, are more enjoyable than a movie. I'd rather watch a really fucking good 8-episode season than a movie. I just would. I like more story. I do. Coming out of COVID and proving yet again that the theatrical window has great value, not just for screens obsessives, but for real bottom line dollars and cents. The strikes of 2023 are making 2024 another incredibly challenging year, with a late charge from a raft movies that could be big in November and December. Venom 3, no. Gladiator 2, Wicked Part 1. I mean, that's got people like musical things.
The thing is I love the Wicked play, as weird as that is for me to say out loud out of my mouth. But it's a direct prequel. The play is a prequel to the Wizard of Oz movie. It directly connects in a really cool way, where this is my nerd brain, how it works. If you've ever heard of Wicked, okay. It's how the Wicked Witch of the West became the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
Who the Wicked Witch of the East is. So the way this story is told, I'm sitting here thinking, this is my nerd brain. Why wasn't this, the story is amazing. The story is amazing because it's from the point of view, you feel sorry for her, right? Like you feel sorry for Elphaba, and who's the Wicked Witch of the West, or becomes the Wicked Witch of the West.
It didn't hurt that, like in the play, they had a really hot chick playing Elphaba.
They did. That helps. I mean, they're all hot, actually.
Yeah.
But like, what's interesting is that I'm watching this going like, why wasn't the story of the fall of Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth
Chris
Vader?
always goes back to Star Wars. I love it.
No, but it's like,
It always
why
comes
wasn't
back to
this-
this.
I know. Knock me all you want. But I'm thinking like they could have written, George Lucas could have written a story that was as good as this, but that's how good the story is you completely see Wizard of Oz differently as a story. You understand the witch's motivation, and they're like shocking revelations, and you see it's also about the rise of fascism, which is bizarre in this land. Things are not as they seem. I think if they do it well, but it should just be one movie, not part one.
Yeah,
I didn't know they were doing a part one. That's lame.
Fucking lame. So
I hate that.
If you did Wicked, for one, it's just a play that you could fit in a
Right.
movie. You can fit the fucking thing in a movie. Yeah, it's Gladiator 2, no. Lord of the Rings, it's the anime. And I don't know if it'll do 1 billion. I'll go see it 3 or 4 times if it's good.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
Lion King,
sorry for that aside on the Wicked thing. For anyone that's never seen it, or it's based on the book, they did the stage play. It's an incredible story. But all I think of is like how they could have done the fall of Anakin better. Sorry, Gary, I'm interrupting here.
No, it's all right.
That's what I do.
It's okay. There's a million ways they could have done Anakin better, and George didn't pick any of them. Sorry, prequel fans. Okay, yeah. I know it. I know those movies connected with a lot of people, and they like the idea of Anakin, but that's probably because they read the novelizations where they fleshed it out way better, and then the EU stuff where they fleshed it out way better. But in the movies themselves, Revenge of the Sith is the only one where we got some actual drama and things happening. The 2 movies before that, aside from like a few scenes, are just gobbledygook. They just are. I don't need to see baby Darth Vader. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. But if you like him, that's great. So the War of the Rohirrim is the only one I give a shit about. And I honestly thought that was just going on. I didn't even think about it going to theaters. I thought it was just going to be on like Max. So there you go. I'm going to go see that for sure.
Yeah.
The Lion King prequel, I could give a fuck about.
Yeah, same.
Sonic 3 will do well because they're Sonic fans. And Nosferatu is probably the other movie I'm looking forward to the most.
I don't think
it's going to do $1 billion, though.
I can't really talk. I'm not going to say much other than I've seen it. I love Robert Eggers. It's a very different take on the Nosferatu story. It's also more accurate to the book and also the era. And by that, I mean, it's not very diverse. It's very much, it's not diverse. He's not.
Wait. I just noticed something.
Yes.
Sony's putting out more Marvel movies than Marvel.
Oh, that's funny. But Nosferatu, also Robert Eggers movies, they're not like runaway hits, right? They're not like, he doesn't make those kind of movies. He makes movies for a certain audience, maybe himself. I love that movie, but they don't tend to resonate mainstream. So I that could also be one of those things where it's like, I can't believe it's a hit, but if it performs just okay, that to me is what I would expect.
Yeah. They got to release it. They can't release it at Christmas, though. They got to release Nosferatu at Halloween. They just have to.
Yes.
That has to happen in October. And I like Eggers a lot. Love the Northman. Love the fucking Northman. So, I'm really looking forward to that. Everything else there, except for Lord of the Rings, of course. The War of the Rohirrim. Hell yeah. Looking forward to Dune 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's about
it. I agree with you, Gary. I don't know that that's going to pass $1 billion because one, it's like, I think it's like, is it almost 3 hours? I forgot what the running time is. I know it's north of 2.5, like 240, 250, something like that. But it's just not, Dune isn't Star Wars in terms of a property, right? Like Star Wars resonates on a mainstream level. Dune has never been particularly mainstream, kind of like I would compare it to Doctor Who. I'm not trying to disparage Doctor Who, but it's a more select audience of nerds that know about it. But Doctor Who became mainstream with Eccleston. I mean, I don't need to tell you that. Eccleston and then Tennant, David Tennant is so good in that role. Although I was watching you guys lament like Doctor Who, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I stopped watching it. Like,
dude, that Christmas special was bad. It was legitimately like it's done. It's going to go on for 2 seasons because they've commissioned it for however much. I couldn't even be bothered beyond this point.
Right.
I watched it. Melissa had to go down and with my son and prepare some dinner. So I just like they were getting the ham ready. So I'm like, all right, I got an hour. Oh, fucking ruin my Christmas and watch this. And it sucked. It really sucked. Shudigawa does not have what it takes to be the Doctor. He doesn't have the presence, the 1,000-yard stare. And there's no masculinity in it whatsoever. They made a very specific choice to remove it. And it's not it's a show made for 0.04% of the population who will pirate it and not pay for it. By the way, I can't show it because I can't find it right now, but there was a list of top shows on Disney Plus, I think put out by Disney. I'm not sure. Doctor Who was not even on it.
Oh, wow.
Not even on the D Plus list. And things didn't perform as well as you thought. Like they're running around. Rebel Moon was the movie movie on Netflix, and I'm sure it was. But then the numbers came out, and it's like half of what even Leave the World Behind. Is that what it's called? It did It did half of what that movie did. Half.
I still haven't seen that film. I still haven't seen it, but I don't know.
And Extraction 2, it did half of what Extraction 2 did.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure it costs like 3 times as much, maybe 4 times as much as Extraction 2, and it did half of what it did. Rebel Moon, not good. Not good. Let's see. What else can we go to? Well, let's go to this one real quick. We're not going to read the whole thing. Could you? Well, no, it's another thing. Here, I'll pull this one up. All right. I'll do this one. You're just going to have to see me presenting. There we go. This is another thing you had to kind of subscribe to. So I'll take this one.
Okay.
What?
EV Magazine, by the way. And when I subscribe, it's like, start your free trial. If you're for feminism, start here. And I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, no.
But yes, Disney is worried that woke is ruining their brand after consistent flops. The most beloved era of Disney was in the 1990s, when all the classics were released that people still know and love today. The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, The Lion King, Mulan, and many more told the kind of magical stories that stayed in our hearts, along with the catchy music that could get stuck in our heads for days. This period is often referred to as the Renaissance era, and many suspect that these movies are loved by women everywhere because Disney successfully captured the brilliance and timelessness of femininity, because Disney's a girl brand. Right, Chris?
Oh, yes. I'm very well aware. It's a girl brand.
It's a girl's brand.
It's a girl brand. And I mean, I'm trying to think like what the boy brands are. There's just few and far between these days.
Well, they were Star Wars and
Marvel. Star Wars and Marvel
used
to be boy brands.
Yes.
And once they got
Doctor
away
Who.
from that, the audience was like, yeah, we're good. We're good.
But a lot of girls, a lot of women were into Star Trek and Doctor Who. A lot of women.
True.
Jasmine was seductive and required her man to work for her. Ariel taught us about sacrifice and trust, and Mulan was both brave and family-oriented. All of the princesses had their own personalities and opinions, but they each made room for a prince to come in and sweep them off their feet. None was too proud to reject a man. These traditional Disney films were never political, and the themes were always centered on universal, relatable stories that brought people together rather than driving them apart. However, Disney has certainly lost its way over the last couple of decades. They lost their touch at producing hit movies that resonate with both young children and adults. Disney moves have taken a turn for the worse. You don't say. Turning Red, a Disney Pixar film of 2022 that was acclaimed for its heartwarming narrative and representation, did not achieve high commercial success compared to other Pixar films, with global box office gross of only $20 million against a production budget of $175 million because they put it on Disney+. The supposed reason for the underperformance is it was attributed to its simultaneous release on D+. This strategy allowed audiences to view the film at home, significantly affected the worldwide box office, blah, blah, blah. However, it left people wondering if it wasn't good enough to draw an audience. There were many parents who expressed their disappointment with the type of inappropriate content that was being delivered to teenagers for the sake of sending a particular message to the world. And that message was, wasn't it just, it was about, Chris, did you see it?
No.
No. Wasn't it about
Turning Red?
Turning Red? Wasn't it about like getting your period or something like that?
Yeah, that was part of it. I remember seeing the trailer. I never actually saw the movie. I never saw it.
The Disney animated movie Strange World also placed a significant box office shortfall with an estimated loss of $147 million in 2022. A notably woke aspect of the film is the introduction of Disney's first openly LGBTQ+ teenage character who discusses his same-sex crush. The film's underperformance is attributed to various factors, including its inclusion of sexual discussions, which deterred many parents from allowing their children to watch it. Some critics suggest that modern parents, more informed through social media, may choose to avoid content with inappropriate sexual themes for their children. Similar issues in the past were observed with Pixar's Lightyear, which included a gay kiss and initially underperformed at the box office. Chris Evans, a voice actor to Lightyear, criticized those who opposed the movie inclusive content. However, what he considered inclusive was just seen as annoyingly woke to the general public. Parents have generally never been on board with showing their children progressive content regardless of the political message companies like Disney are desperately trying to send. Which is something we've been talking about forever. Especially with animated, like the message can be in political films, independent films. They can be in all kinds of things. When you're making a cartoon for kids, and then you're fighting simultaneously, you're fighting the state of Florida over a parental rights bill. It's giving you a bit of a label that you've earned, Disney. And that label is you are no longer about the family. You're about bypassing the parents and teaching the kids your idea that you think is right over the parents. That's exactly what. So the parents are like, "Fuck you." Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's particularly I can't speak for other countries, but Americans don't. Well, at least half of us don't like being told what to do. We don't.
Or how to think. There used to be a common morality that we could all agree upon that were very basic and steeped a lot in Christian values, frankly. If you look at the redemption of Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, that's very Christian, right? I mean, that's why the last act of Return of the Jedi is still so powerful. That conflict with Luke and his father, his belief that he can turn him to good is such a, we're still talking about it today, right? Yes, all roads lead back to Star Wars for me, but I'll say we don't have those common values, or at least common values are not being celebrated. So then you've got these sort of mixed, where I look at them like, well, what even makes these heroes a superhero, right? Like, that's what was so great about characters like Superman or Batman, because they're not about the costume. Ultimately, they're not about the gadgets. They're about the values that they embody. And when society is so conflicted with its values, where we can't even agree on the most simple things, like it's that's why this stuff isn't resonating. And when you take themes, ideas, or even political or agendas, those movies have always existed, but they were all small movies. They were independent films that played festivals for a very tiny audience. I think the best example of this is the movie Bros from last year.
Yeah.
A movie that was made for $50 million, a gay romantic comedy that didn't even bring out the gay audience. And because it was just leaned into stereotypes, and the movie was made for too much money. Had that movie been made for under 10 million and went direct to streaming, it would have been a hit for the level that it's at. And that's the problem is, and I've had conversations with other people in the industry about this. It's like, it's not enough to make films that appeal to a certain demographic, a smaller demographic. It's like, no, we want to weave them into mainstream movies. And it's like, no, that's where you're going to lose people. I just saw this movie opened last weekend called Anyone But You. You would like this, X-Ray Girl.
Oh,
You would like this. It's a romantic comedy. There's lots of nudity in it. It's very fun. And it's like harkens back to an old school type of movie that Hollywood just doesn't even know how to make anymore. Look up Anyone But You. You and Mark should go see it and cuddle during the movie. There you go. I just made your day.
There you go.
Or whatever you do. I'm not going to say.
Extreme cuddling.
Yeah, extreme cuddling.
Extreme cuddling.
Fast and Furious.
There you go. But no, and that movie will be fine because it's not made for a super ton of money. It's just a typical romantic comedy. But like, you have to scale the audience. The way I see it, like, God, what was I watching? Some other stream. And they were talking about like women working at certain companies like Lucasfilm and whatnot. And this person would not answer this question. Like, is it a problem? And I say, hell yes, it's a problem. Like, let me compare it this way. Okay, let me put it this way. If you work for a cosmetic company, you probably should be a woman. If you work in cosmetics, one, you should use makeup and be a woman and or a gay person who wears makeup. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're making that, if you work in let's see, you have a company that makes pizza. You better love pizza. You debate pizza. Pizza is your life, and everything consumes you involving pizza. If you work on Star Wars, you better love Star Wars, have a room full of Star Wars stuff, understand it. But there's this weird attitude of, well, you're too close to it. We don't want people who are Star Wars fans to work on Star Wars. We don't want people who are Marvel fans or know the comics to work at Marvel. You idiots.
And you know why that is, Chris? Sorry to interrupt.
Why? Why, please?
Because the people in charge want to be in charge. And they don't know as much as somebody they might hire that may know as much. And instead of seeing them as an asset, they see them as a threat.
Yeah.
It's all ego and hubris, man.
Yeah, it's weird. So like someone like a James Gunn in Marvel's current form, James Gunn couldn't get a job at Marvel now based on their criteria for hiring, which is stupid to think. And he is legit. He legit knows comics. Okay. He is legit nerd. He knows his comics and obscure stuff, which is what I love about him. So, but like, I just think that the problem is, this is why Star Wars as a brand or Marvel, you need male energy. You need male energy to do a boys brand. We've seen this happen. I know you're not watching the NFL, Gary, or you did go to a game. You did go to a game.
I did.
You did go to a game. They have, of course, they brought in a lot of women into the NFL, including female refs. And there have been some complaints. Some people have pointed out that there are far more, they're trying to take the violence out. I mean, football is a very violent sport. It just is. People get hurt. And the complaint is now there's like too many unnecessary calls that are affecting the game. And a lot of it they blame on the fact that they've tried to make the NFL a brand for men, and they try to push female fans by doing like pink shoes. You know, they always do that, or like
there was always female fans. It's the same fucking thing. There was always female fans who liked football for the way it was, but I can objectively say I didn't see the two best teams in the world. Okay, I saw the Packers and the Chargers, but I can objectively say the game is far worse than it used to be. It's a sloppy, boring, soft game now compared to what it was even in 2017. In 2017 wasn't as good. Like the 90s was a great year for football. It's a bloody, violent game, and it's turning into flag football.
Yeah, there's that, but all I'm saying is maybe there are some spaces, and if you're gonna sell stuff to men, you probably want that company run and mostly populated by men.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that can sound like a sexist thing, but is it sexist to say that women should mostly run cosmetic companies or bra companies? Or, if you're targeting women for a product, mostly women should work on it. If you're targeting men for a product, mostly men should work on it. Now, someone's going to pervert what I'm saying into saying that's misogynistic. You're an idiot. Look at the fall of these brands that aren't targeting cannot target men because you probably have too many women within your ranks. We've seen it happen with Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm has turned Star Wars into a girl brand and has just lost the audience.
Dude, it's gotten so crazy that and we're talking about it in entertainment and football and stuff, but it's gotten so crazy. It's getting to things like airline pilots. Okay.
Right.
Why have specialties in anything? Anybody can do anything they want to ever. No, they can't. They can't.
Yes.
We need highly specialized people. I want the best. I don't care how they identify, and men gravitate to certain jobs. Sure, we need more trans representation in underwater welding, but it's not happening because they don't want to do it. Plus, there's very, 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 very few people who are actually trans. So, it's all bullshit. And most of this, Time's Up Me Too shit was all about, I want to be the boss. I want to be the executive. I don't want to work my way up and pay my fucking dues, which people need to do in Hollywood. It's a talent. Not everybody can do it. The last year just proved it. It was all DIE all the fucking time. And it was mostly shit For every one good film we got, there was 10 pieces of shit.
Your camera went out, Gary. It's
Again?
black. Yeah.
It must be this computer.
Why are you posting that black square, Gary? That
Oh,
seems really.
solidarity.
Yeah.
I
there
was
you
gonna
go.
say, Chris, it's not necessarily true that women should sell women things. Look what happened to Victoria's Secret.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, that's why you just have that's you know what? Gay men contribute to a lot of things. I feel like you need that. You need that element. Look at hairdressers, right? Mostly hairdressers are women and gay men. The guy who cuts my hair for years, my buddy Wolfgang, he is a straight man who cuts hair, and he I credit him for my coif here. But I do think that there's certain people should gravitate towards certain things. You certainly need when it comes to selling lingerie with Victoria's Secret, you need to, part of that is pleasing men. Yes, for sure. But, men buy lingerie they want to see their women in. So, or invite women buy lingerie to trap a man. So,
Man.
yeah, to trap a man. Man trap. Isn't
I
that
have
was
never. Well,
Man Trap is the name of, I think, one of the first episodes of Star Trek, the original series. Might be the first one that aired, I think was called Man Trap. Gary can correct me. Robert Meyer Burnett can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But I believe
I'm pretty sure it's the first one that aired, but I'm not 100% sure.
not the first one made, but the first one that aired on television
First
was
one that
Man
aired,
Trap.
yeah.
Dr. McCoy's ex-girlfriend or whatever, like went to that planet. It was weird. Anyways, and then she sucked salt out of everyone. That you could make a lot of.
Yes, I remember the episode.
In any case, all I'm saying is that like there's been all that like yes, should organizations I think organizations should be organically diverse based on what people gravitate toward, right? Like, you can't 100% say like this is only for men, only for women. That's never been true. Even with things like Star Wars, there were always female Star Wars fans.
But like Disney was not known as a girls brand. This is widely known, and they bought Star Wars and Marvel to bring more men in and boys, and then they turned them into girls brands. I mean,
and it's getting worse. It's getting, when you see the future of like what's, when you hear the stuff that Kevin Feige is talking about doing, it's ridiculous. A female Silver Surfer, I guess it'll be whatever.
A female Silver Surfer. The Young Avengers will be mostly female. And is it going to be a movie? I hope so. Because it'll do worse than the Marvels.
For our sake, I hope so. For the health of the industry, that's something else.
Well,
for our sake,
the thing is, you can't go with what. There's a saying in sports: we're going to go with what we got us here. You can't go with what got you here, because you are in the market. The biggest studio in Hollywood is Disney right now, and they are done. They are toast. They're only coming out with like 4 movies in the first quarter of the year, and Sony is releasing more Marvel movies, and that's bad. That's really bad. That's worse for your brand. That are not Spider-Man, by the way. Let me make that distinction. Venom 3, Venom 2 was shit. Venom 3 will be shit. I love Tom Hardy as an actor. It's his worst performance in anything. I'm fucking pissed that he chose that over Taboo, which was a great first season of TV that we never got a season 2 of. And then Madam Web, which I am going to clown as much as I possibly can because it looks awful. Let's get back to this real quick. Like I said, we're not going to read the whole thing, but Disney's acknowledges that going woke hasn't worked out so well for them. Disney has finally acknowledged that the significant impact of wokeness and culture wars on its operations. The admission was made in its annual financial report filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission for the fiscal year ending in September 30th. The report highlights various aspects of Disney's performance and future risks. Disney employs about 225,000 workers.
Wow.
Dude, there's...
Holy crap.
What?
Now that's theme parks, film,
That's
TV,
everything. That's almost
everything.
a quarter of a...
Yeah.
That's almost a quarter of a million people worldwide, and emphasizes its commitment to creating a more inclusive and diverse workplace. The commitment aligns with its diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI objectives, which focus on reflecting the life experiences of its audience and supporting diverse voices in creative and production teams. Financially, Disney reported revenues of $88.9 billion for the fiscal year of 2023, marking a 7% increase from 2022, which was a slower year. Despite this growth, the company has reduced spending on film and TV content, cutting it from $29.8 billion to $27.2 billion. That's barely nothing. Iger plans to further reduce content spending to $25 billion next year. Alongside these cuts, Disney has also implemented staff reductions, layoffs, and then they're going to start on hiring freezes and expenses cuts, achieving about $7.5 billion in cost savings. Holy shit. Disney's involvement in culture wars and public debates has had a widespread effect. The company acknowledges risks relating to misalignments. Is that what they're calling them? And I love how they put it in quotes, misalignments with the public.
Right.
You mean going against your entire brand identity? You love to talk about identity. You guys are obsessed with it. Your identity was you were a family brand. Were. And you're not anymore. And it's affecting everything. Good. I'm not going to tell people what to do, how to spend their money, what to enjoy. I'll just say what I do. And I will question, like, as a Christian, as anybody who practices any kind of religion, and as a libertarian, as a centrist, they hate you. They freaking hate you. And it's not just a dislike, it's hate, it's bigotry. So keep that in mind. Universal's a pretty good option. I will never set foot in a Disney park as long as I live. For the rest of my life. I'm done. I've been to them a lot. They were part of my youth. I wasn't always the biggest Disney fan as far as the stuff that they made. But, I lived in Southern California, and that's where I grew up. Disneyland was, a trip that we made. God, sometimes I made it 10 times in a year, just to hang out. Not anymore. No. And by the way, Universal's great in Florida. It's fucking fantastic. Worth the trip. And I would argue that Universal has an aspect of their park that has something that is much bigger than Star Wars now. It's called Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter is a stronger brand than Star Wars. That's got to hurt a little bit for Star Wars fans. And it should, because Disney did it to them. But Harry Potter is a stronger brand. It's going to make more money in the future. It's going to have more legs. And there's a strong desire for Harry Potter out there. What was the number one selling game this year? Hogwarts Legacy.
which didn't win any awards.
Yep. And that's just one aspect of the park. When they get to the Nintendo stuff, it's then there's some real competition. Disney has also implemented staff. I read that part. Disney's involvement in the culture wars and public debates has had a widespread effect. The company acknowledges risks, blah, blah, blah. Misalignments with the public and consumer preferences, which affect demand and profitability across various segments, including broadcast, cable, theaters, internet, mobile technology, theme parks, hotels, resorts, and consumer products. Basically everything. They could have just said everything. Right? The misalignment has led to challenges in adapting to market changes and economic or social climates. Yeah, no shit, because you chose a side. Suicide for a company, by the way. Absolute suicide.
The way this article is written is like so flowery language. It's so like, it's written in such a polite way. I feel like that's sort of, you're not, it's communicates in kind of a way that's also could be misinterpreted by some. So I prefer just the direct common sense approach when it comes to, explaining things, which I know that I can rub people the wrong way sometimes, but just being very blunt about stuff, not in a way to be mean, but in a way to be clear, a clarity, so to speak. But yeah, they effed up. They effed up big time. And I don't know, when a brand becomes a brand that is no longer trusted, say like a Bud Light, how do you win people back? I don't know. I think you need a more blunt way of saying it, that, maybe we should stop in our media vilifying half the country. I was watching NFL on Sunday, and they still have all that like social justice stuff. They keep pushing, and they always push it in a way that's like flowery. They don't want to come out and say certain things, so they say it in a way like, emerging voices. This is the way that they always do this stuff. Emerging voices.
Emerging voices.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Exactly, that's what I mean. But like they couch it
You're
in
a
language.
dreamer. You're a
Yeah,
dreamer. God dang it.
Yeah, your camera's out again.
No,
but
and it's this computer, dude. Doesn't do it on the other one.
Weird.
Gotta figure that out.
Weird.
So I've always sort of despised that. I just sort of that's annoyed the crap out of me. And I also am not a favor of all this weird segregation that seems to be taking hold everywhere. It's such a step backwards for our society. It's not great. So anyways, whatever. I could go off on tangents with this stuff. But I mean, Disney at least acknowledging in their own language that this is a mistake is, it's basically going to be, look, the DEI
Well, they had to. By law,
Right.
they had to. It got so bad, Chris, that you can't bullshit your investors. You can hide stuff in language, but you can't outright lie. And things have gotten so bad that they had to put it in their risks, basically. Like, if you invest this company, here are some of the risks you're taking. And we have taken some political sides, I'm paraphrasing here, that that have not really aligned with the public. That's how bad. So if they're having to say it, it must be really fucking bad. Like, really, really bad.
I just think
we thought it was.
Yeah, I just think there's going to be a studio like Angel Studios that just makes something not political, completely mainstream, whether it's a comedy, a romantic comedy, horror movie, or even like some type of superhero property. There are plenty of independent superhero properties out there. We've never had a proper Flaming Carrot movie. I would love to see Bob Burden.
We had the Mystery Men, but no Flaming Carrot.
But that Mystery Men was, I mean, as much as like, okay, some of it is fun. It's not the comic book, which was just weird. And I liked it for its weirdness.
Yeah. We're not going to, they're not going to take any risks right now. They're so fucking scared right now. And usually when a studio is struggling, they do take risks because they have to. And they bring in somebody who's a known factor, like Christopher Nolan. Warner Brothers, like, one of their biggest fuck ups was pissing him off, right?
Yeah.
Like, pissing him off was a huge fuck up. But Warner Brothers also, they were in a lot of trouble because they put a lot of people in charge who didn't know what the fuck they were doing for the longest time.
Where did I see this? And I'm sorry, maybe it even was on Real BBC or something, where the problem today is that the people that are running things in Hollywood now don't love movies. And in the eras where Hollywood thrived and rolled the dice and took risks, the studios were run by people who loved movies, who understood movies, who understood creative people. So you've got people in a corporate culture, Disney, a lot of these other studios, that not only don't love film, don't understand it, no sense of film history when Hollywood thrived and when it failed, and the lessons from all of those things. So you've got a bunch of corporate climbers and people who are more concerned about power and their position than creating a vision of something that's really cool because they love movies. One of my favorite moments, to go back to episode 1, Star Wars, there is a documentary that's actually on the official Star Wars YouTube channel, or is also on, if you have the standard def DVD of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. There's a documentary called The Beginning. It's shot in a way that's not like any other Star Wars behind the scenes, because what they'll do is they always sit someone down and then they play the Force theme and what does Star Wars mean to you? Star Wars, it gets annoying after a while, like that music, you become numb to it. But there's like this Errol Morris style documentary, which is fly on the wall, no music, no interviews to camera, just fly on the wall following George Lucas around making Episode 1. There's a moment in that documentary, it's 1 hour long. I encourage everyone to go watch it. there's a moment where George Lucas is on the set and Steven Spielberg comes to visit. And they're having this geek out moment where they're looking at the battle droids and they're like, oh yeah, these are the battle droids. And, oh, that's so cool. And they're like nerding out about how cool it is. Do you think that anyone currently making Star Wars even, I mean, like, do they think that way? Is they're like, man, that's so cool. Like the fact that like, these are the head guys. Okay. Do you think Kathleen Kennedy thinks like that? Now I know that there are people on film sets that have legit worked on Disney Star Wars, the series and whatnot, who are freaking out that there's like someone in a protocol droid costume on set or R2D2s. I know the people on who work on set, but you need that passion coming from the main guy.
Oh, remember that the audio clip from the one woman on the story group where she's like, yeah, we need more diversity. We had Lando who was just trying to get in Leia's trousers, and like that is the wrong person to ever be anywhere near Star Wars. She shouldn't even be a janitor at fucking Lucasfilm. For one, there's nothing wrong. I'll get on camera for this. There's nothing wrong. I'm going to try to make it work. With Lando wanting to get into Leia's trousers. That's part of his fucking personality. He's the ladies' man, okay? It's fucking Billy D. motherfucking Williams. There's nothing wrong with that. It was part of his personality. Anybody who wants to remove any kind of sex appeal or romance or everything because they think they have a problem with it because whatever fucking personal hangups they have shouldn't be near Star Wars. And by the way, they don't love Star Wars. They don't love Star Wars.
That's exactly right. That's what my whole point is. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are having this moment where they're geeking out. Like these are going to be kind of like the stormtroopers of this trilogy. And he's like, oh man, it's so cool. And he had physical battle droids on set, right? Like, so there were, I mean, obviously they were mostly digital in the movie, but they built physical versions of it. And they're like having a geek out moment about all the cool, I mean, legit, when you go watch George Lucas interviews or see stuff from him I remember this very famous issue of Time magazine where he's standing in this room and there's all this stuff behind him. Do you know the cover I'm talking about, Gary? And he's like surrounded by like, spaceships and this and models and like monsters and creatures and aliens and robots. And it's just like all behind him. He thought up all that stuff because he wanted to see it in a movie. And he's the main executive who's running the company. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't give two shits about any of this stuff. To her, it's product. It's just a thing that she can make her own, right? And I'm done with this stuff. These executives need to be called out. They shouldn't be running things unless you're super into it.
Unless I'm incorrect, I don't recall Kathleen Kennedy's name being on a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, and not only that, like she's asked, there's a really
prior to her hiring,
right? God, where did I see this? It was one of those like mini documentaries you see on some YouTube channels where somebody directly asks like Kathleen Kennedy, what she loves about Star Wars. She never answers the question, just talks about it as a property,
Oh.
It's the weirdest. And look, I've met founders of companies. Okay. Founders of companies I've met like in my time. And the ones that you see, they have a successful company. It may not be like a one publicly, but they are passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's pizza rolls or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever. Like when you see people who start their own company, God, I have this friend of mine. Her name is Brittany. Her actual name is Brittany. She has a company called Birdie Skirts. And she makes nerdy skirts. And she's had a booth at conventions for years. It's this booth. She loves it. She makes the clothes because she wants to wear them. They're just nerdy different skirts. You've got like TARDIS skirts, whatever. She makes them because she wanted to wear them, right? So everything about that she makes for her company is all because she wanted to see. She loves it. And I think that's with anything. You got to love it. If you don't love it and you're just fulfilling a role, if you're just fulfilling a role that is some corporate title, like VP head of corporate relations for marketing West Coast, like I that's why I've always hated titles. Like at Film Threat, we don't have titles. I mean, I guess we technically like Alan's the editor-in-chief of Film Threat and I'm like the chief head guy of, but we don't get caught up in like corporate titles because I think that's stupid. It's just, I've been around the corporate space. I've spent enough time had my foot in corporate and then always done a passion project of my own, I've always found people in the corporate space that are all super, super corporate to be annoying a-holes that I avoid like the plague. And that's what I see has seeded and taken over Hollywood are all these corporate climbers. That's why, corporations kill creativity. I'll tweet that out every couple months to remind people like that. That's why this stuff is garbage now.
That's why Jar Jar Abrams succeeded. He was very good at working within the corporate space. He wasn't good at making movies or telling stories, but he worked very well in the political corporate environment. In other words, he was a bullshit artist. So, and that's what you have to be. And in Hollywood, you have to be a bullshit artist and very fucking good. You be able to back it up. So it's not technically a bullshit artist, but you need to be able to work your way in, massage a few egos, maybe something else, to get some money to pay for your project. Now it's just some bullshit artist sitting down a committee of a bunch of bankers who don't know shit about Star Wars, convincing them, oh, I'm the guy. I bought a Star Wars T-shirt when I was 10, so you should totally let me do it. And by the way, I'll openly say I never liked Star Trek, and you should let me do that too.
Yeah.
Fucking dumbasses.
There's a great, because I reviewed the Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams Trek movie from, 2009. There is a thing on the commentary track I'll never forget. Someone has to get the audio clip. Star Trek 2009 director's commentary. J.J. Abrams is on there with the writers, and he openly mocks the Star Wars prequels and talks about how shitty they are, and openly mocks Star Wars on the commentary track. It's great. I'm like, oh wow, I'm shocked he's saying this. That exists. So somebody find that audio clip and you can make a video about it. See, I would do that, except I'm too lazy. I don't do video essay. I should start doing some video essays. Maybe my channel would, could grow beyond. I'm going to get to 169,000. That's my goal now. 169,000.
169,000.
Alan and I are trying to do that right now. We're up to 105.
Doing a lot of those videos does require a lot of going in, listening to special features, searching out audio clips, going through a lot of dumb Access Media articles, but the end result makes it all worth it. But it is, it's time consuming. I won't call it like work. It's not like, going out and fighting a fire or anything like that, but you're definitely sitting on your ass for 5 hours looking at stuff. Takes a special kind of weaponized autism. So,
yeah.
What are you doing, X-Ray Girl? Oh, stretching. I was like, there you go. What's going on there? Hey, so I saw somebody in the chat. We talked about, mentioned Doctor Who. We discussed the episode yesterday on Real BBC. It's over on Az's channel if you want to go see that. I'm not making a video on it. I don't care at this point.
Wow.
I made my last video. There's nothing. The only thing they did was they tripled down on the timeless children. So they mentioned that the Doctor was abandoned and then adopted by a psychotic woman who killed the Doctor over and over again to steal regeneration. So the Doctor is not from Gallifrey. William Hartnell is not the first Doctor. The first Doctor is a little black baby girl who was abandoned. Now, again, what kind of message does that send? Well, that's what happens when you paint yourself into the identity politics corner. You want to have an adopted kid, but now you're pushing the narrative of, black children being abandoned. Well done. Well done. So, you end up being a little over stereotypical in your beliefs, Hollywood, with your identity politics. But timeless, that's a deal breaker. Timeless Children was the worst case of franchise-aside in the history of entertainment, going back in time and retroactively changing all of your canon for identity politics. Fuck this show. It's done. It's dead. R.I.P. Doctor Who. Nobody's going to watch this shit. It's the lowest rated Christmas special in its history, by the way, was the last one. And that was the introduction of Ncuti Gatwa. So there's my take on Doctor Who. It's deader than dead. But we do have Sauron to talk about. Let's talk about Sauron.
Oh, no.
So according to Fellowship of the Fans, by the way, let's preface this. Fellowship of the Fans, which is limiting comments, hiding comments, and has me blocked.
What?
That's why X-Ray Girl has to look it up. I'm blocked. Who are in the pocket of Amazon. So I think some of the information they get is real because they were part of that whole shill thing from last year. It's been over a year since the Rings of Power came out, was a complete disaster. We know that only 37% of the audience stuck around, meaning 63% of the audience dipped out from the first episode. And of that 37%, I think at least 20% were YouTubers. And it's of that 30% and 20% that are YouTubers there's going to be another 60% drop in season 2. It's going to suck. This isn't Tolkien. They don't even have the rights to certain names and certain things that they can allude to, but that, like the Stranger, if they call him Gandalf, they have to purchase that from Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers still has the distribution rights to Lord of the Rings. And they by the way, they already made a deal. They already made a deal with Warner Brothers to get the rights to things like Elrond. Bet you didn't know that, but that's in my Making of a Disaster Doctor Who video that I released last year. So this is all fanfic garbage. So you would say, hey, Halbrand was Sauron. How can we cast another Sauron? This is supposed to be his original form, his ethereal form, his angelic form. That does take, but they already did this story. That's the problem. Unless they go do it again. And I'm talking about Rings of Power, is Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. And he's supposed to look like an elf. And he doesn't look like an elf. He looks like an Easterling. So this is supposed to be another form, but as I tweeted out, congratulations, racism has now been conquered, because marginalized people can now see their authentic voices represented in pure evil. Well done. And it gives a whole new meaning to this quote from, you can keep that up. I'll go to my tweet here. To this quote from Lindsay Weber, the producer of The Rings of Power, who was so great that Jar Jar Abrams wanted to get rid of her and did. And her husband is a producer on The Wheel of Time. So she is screwing the guy and who's ruining another fantasy franchise. And yeah, nepotism is still alive and well in Hollywood. Her quote, I said, it gives a whole new meaning to the quote from Rings of Power producer Lindsay Weber. It felt only natural to us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like. Oof. Ugh. It's kind of bad luck now, isn't it? Because you're saying that the world actually, that's evil. Well done. Well done. Celeborn is supposed to be in season 2, Guy Ladriel's husband. I'm sure he will be cucked massively. By the way, he's been missing for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. That is a long trip to go get a pack of to go get some pipe weed and not come back. Everything I've heard about this is disaster. They finished filming because it was a British production. They followed through with production without showrunners Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne because they were part of the strike. So somehow they finished it. Will that benefit the show? Probably not. Will it hurt the show? Probably not. It'll probably end up being the same. It was essentially run by Lindsay Weber from Bad Reboot. A Bad Reboot reject, I remind you. A Bad Reboot reject. There are some rumors that we're going to be getting a trailer probably around the Super Bowl like we did last time, which will be great for content. I don't think it'll be great for them. What's funny is technically House of the Dragon finished filming after Rings of Power, and they were able to put out a trailer already a month ago.
Ouch.
I wonder if they're waiting. Has it been announced when Rings of Power is coming back?
It has not. Exactly. It has not.
Okay, so you know that House of the Dragon is probably going to premiere a week after or whatever. They're totally going to pull the same thing.
I am
It'll be
praying for that to happen.
I hope
I would
so.
love that. I would love it.
I am praying
cool.
to all that is good, to the higher power that happens, because that's what hurt it even worse was you had a fantasy show that's a derivative. I mean, like it or not, A Song of Ice and Fire is a derivative of Lord of the Rings, and it outperformed it. It was better than it in every single way, and didn't spend as much money, like not even near as much money. It was still expensive, don't get me wrong, but they spent half of what Amazon spent, and you saw the difference between people who know what the fuck they're doing and people who have no fucking clue. HBO's a machine. They've been doing this for a long time. They know how to put productions together. They were able to cover up Dan and Dave for a long time, like how bad they really were once they got off the book. And it was because they had the best set designers, they had best costume designers, best production value, best cinematography. They had like top-notch people working on that show. And by the way, season 8, as shitty as it was made, Dan and Dave were only there half the time. They weren't even on the sets. It's bad. So yeah, Gavi Singh Chera is Sauron. A Sauron of color. We have a Sauron of color, ladies and gentlemen. Racism is finished.
I wonder if he'll team up with Kang, the big bad from Marvel. I'm kidding. Jonathan Majors is out.
And they're going to recast Kang.
Are they recasting?
That's the rumors are they're going to recast Kang, and it's like, no, get rid of him. He's stupid.
It's when you've defeated the villain like 3 times already, or at least is it twice or 3 times?
The High Evolutionary was 1,000 times better.
He was a really good baddie and really good villain. You need a good villain because that helps define the hero. The hero must be stalwart in their values and morals.
Right. And it's a villain has to have a singular focus, not just like I'm fixing the gobbledygook of time for my girlfriend, which is what they were going to do, by the way.
Oh my God. Is that really what they were going to do?
Ravonna Renslayer.
Oh my God.
Because it's kind of based on one of the versions of King. King's not. The High Evolutionary has a singular Mengele focus. He wants to perfect life. And make it he wants to play God by, I don't know, surgically fucking with animals and humans. And it's horrible. That makes a great villain. Look what he did to those poor little creatures in Guardians of the Galaxy. I know a lot of people have a hard time with that. It's like, they were CG creatures. Come on. But that's a good villain doing very bad things. Not just, I'm muckety about traveling through time. That's the Gambit. Doing my clown impression, whatever. I agree with Ryan's assessment. He should have been fired for his performance, like long before any guilty verdicts.
I think part of that is probably he just didn't listen to the director. Like, can you bring it down a notch? And he didn't listen.
I don't think directors do that anymore.
Yeah, no, that is the problem with, like, can people be honest? Part of being honest when you're creative and working on something is this isn't working. This sucks. I mean, this is in the article, the D-Files on Film Threat. This was one of like John Lasseter's things. John Lasseter was very brutal when it came to assessing, like, this doesn't work, this works, and he became kind of a bottleneck because everything had to be approved. Now, when you look at the output, Pixar was, an untarnished reputation of practically home runs out of the gate. So when you look at the final results, it's hard to criticize that process, but then when you take that element out, and I this is going to sound kind of cold for me to say, sometimes, and I see this in the corporate world, people care too much, not only about other people's feelings, but their own feelings. And I've said many times, I don't care. I care about results. Feelings, we'll deal with that later because we'll be celebrating whatever it is that we've created. But sometimes you got to set your feelings aside, not take things personal, take the critique to make something better, whether it's a film or an aspect of a business. It's like, it's not about your feelings. So you have a whole group of people entering the workplace that really give a shit about their feelings. And I kind of feel like, here's what I'll say is, the way you know you're an adult is when you can control your emotions.
Yeah.
That separates adults from children. We have a whole generation of children in the workplace where they not only can't control their feelings, they care more about their feelings than what the job is supposed to be. And it's not about your feelings or taking things personal. And this is like, I don't know, like, I mean, maybe I don't think that John Lasseter was necessarily a cold person. He was known for hugging, being very warm and whatnot. But when it came to the work, he took it seriously. And you went in there and you got the critique and this isn't working. And I love the whole story that he just stopped making the first Toy Story and said, we have to start over.
Yeah.
We have to start over making that movie. Insane.
That's insane. And it's hard to come up with that, but that is the mark of a true creative, going that this just does not cut it. Like, we cannot put this out. And I know we put a lot of time in it, and you get your team together, and it's all about being a good leader. And there's no good leaders in Hollywood anymore. And it's because, listen, you're in an artistic industry, so you're going to have some neurotic people. Love or hate Joss Whedon, Ray Fisher went out there and cried about the guy because he was mean, because Joss Whedon was, when it came to the work, was tough, was fucking tough. And, he's an idiot politically, but he was tough when it came to his work. And now they've kind of legislated that out, and you have to be nice. So like when Jonathan Majors is out there overacting and putting in a shitty performance, the director's scared. They're not going to, plus it's a TV director, which doesn't have the power of a film director. Right. And the producers aren't doing anything because they're scared. They're scared they'll be called racist if they tell it's like, dude, dial it down. That's why we've got so much crap. And then you're worried about your writers, the people who are technically under you, the people you're supposed to be the boss of. You're worried about them too. So you're just like, I'm just going to be here preserving my job, and that doesn't make anything good. That doesn't make anything good.
Precisely.
That's what our government is. It's just about people preserving their fucking job and not doing their job well. Josh Kelsey, we're going to get super chats now, and hopefully my camera will work. Let's see if it works now. Give it a second. Boom. There we go.
Nice.
All right.
There we go.
Back.
Yeah. Got to figure it's got to be the USBs on this computer, because it's working fine on the other one. Josh Kelsey for $20 just drops it and leaves. That's what Josh does. Thank you, Josh. And thanks everyone for being here. Hope you had a great Christmas, getting ready for the New Year's and all the top 5 lifts that are going to piss off Steve Weintraub. We're going to get twice as many this year, and I think he's going to get added in almost every one. So there you go. You brought it on yourself, buddy. Nick XH for 20 British pounds, proper money. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas. I did. Been listening since the beginning of the year, and I have loved every minute of it. Highlight of the year for me was the London meetup. Here is to an amazing 2024. Cheers. Cheers to you. And that was one of the highlights. That was lots of fun. Lots of fun, right, X-Ray Girl? Do you remember it?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Most of it. Part was hot.
Arigato for $19.99 says, Gary, I spoke too soon. You didn't miss my super chat about Sucker Punch after all. My Christmas is saved. Huzzah! Anyway, please just watch the first 3 episodes of Arcane. If you don't love it, you needn't watch it anymore. Hail. I'm going to watch it all because I promised Mahler and I want him to watch Venture Brothers. And he'll eventually thank me. Because Venture Brothers, one of the greatest shows ever made. Magnus Norris for $100. Hail. Woo! Magnus. I didn't even like Avengers. How am I going to like Super What? Super cut?
Cussed. I didn't want to edit it because wasn't sure.
Maybe you wanted to say super cut? I'll say super cut. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. You'll probably, if you didn't like the event, I love the Avengers. The Avengers was fucking great. That was a great movie. I'd watch it again today. Flying Dutchman for $20. How about those Detroit Lions? Kings of the North. Love you. Best wishes 2024. How about them Lions?
I'm super excited. They clinched the NFC Central. Watching that game is super fun. And just as a tribute to my dad, if the Lions get in the Super Bowl, I'm going to go. Now, will I get in? I don't know. But I am going to drive to Vegas for the Super Bowl and try to find some way to get into the game.
Dude,
my dad and I, when he was alive, we would, every time the Lions played, we'd call each other. Well, it wasn't always a pleasant. It's just like, well, they lost, but that's our Lions. What can you say?
You're just, Chris, get ready to get some nosebleed seats that you're going to pay $1,000 for.
Right.
And then you'll get in. But yeah, StubHub will have plenty of tickets. It's just how much you're willing to pay.
Well, yeah, I figure if I go, I'm going to go to the Rose Bowl because Michigan is in the Rose Bowl and they're playing Alabama. And I DM'd Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, said, dude, I know your team is Alabama. You coming to the Rose Bowl? Because I'm going.
Tell Jeremy War Eagle. Did I get it right?
I don't know.
War Tide, Roll Eagle. Is that something like
Roll Tide?
Something like that.
My move with the Rose Bowl. So I see the Rose Parade. This is like my New Year's Day ritual. See the Rose Parade, and then if I consider going to the game, when I go to the game, I just walk to the Rose Bowl Stadium, which is like 2 miles from where I live. And if you wait until the first quarter, you can get tickets for face value.
Oh, nice.
People are like, no one's bought them. It's like, I'll take the tickets. I'll take them off your hands.
Fear the Tardo for $5 says, hi, Reggie, Sex Pay Girl, and Frank Gore. Hope had Merry Crispix with New Clear's Eve coming. Tardo wonder if he have nuclear resolution. Lock it in. Yay. Yay.
Oh my God. I love Fear the Tardo.
I do too. Ministry of Wrong Thing for $9.99 says, you heard it here first. Deadpool 3 will be the biggest MCU movie of 2024. Bet on that.
It'll be the highest grossing Marvel movie.
Hey, you're going out on a limb. You're going out on a limb there, but I have to agree with you. Base Player 2011 iffy for $19.99. For the people complaining about Lasseter being harsh, guess what? Disney did the same thing, and it continued long after the man died. Look into the production of Emperor's New Groove to see what it was like at Disney. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. No, they the culture that, from what we're hearing, is it's turned into a culture of bullying from the top down. And it's just it's a toxic workplace is what it sounds like. And it's really unhealthy. And there's this whole group of freelance animators that work for a lot of different, work for Illumination, they work for other companies, and Disney just has the worst reputation of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But
they're out there telling us how to live.
Yeah. While they treat their employees like garbage.
Mm-hmm. Give Chris the meat and give it to him raw, says TSG official for 20 Swedish krona.
I'll take it.
That's right. Bulk squat thrust for $10. I finally got around to watching Attack of the Dock on my Christmas break, and it brought back a lot of fond memories. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. It's on Tubi for free. It's streaming on Tubi for free and YouTube for free.
There you go.
So there's no excuse not to see Attack of the Dock now. I want as many people to see it as possible. This was always the plan, video on demand first, then, the Blu-ray and now streaming. That's the life. But ultimately, you really want to get that Blu-ray.
Yes,
you want to get
do.
the Blu-ray of Attack of the 25 plus hours of extras, tons of stuff. If you're a G4 fan of the old G4, you must have this collector's edition Blu-ray. So get it. You can find it on.
Yeah, and I'll have a couple to give away at the Vegas meetup.
Oh, awesome.
I got some extras. Emilio has gifted 5 Nerdrotic memberships for $25. Thank you. Appreciate
Sweet.
it. Johnny Mumbles for $19.99 says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. All hail and fuck Doctor Who, but does it ever get a Terry Matalas savior? Do we buy it and retcon everything? Since Capaldi, are we out of fucks? We went from hero to frolicking poof. It's done. It would have to sit for many years. And they did irrevocable damage by going back. If it was just Jodie and Shooty going on as doctors, you could still work with it. But going back and reaffirming the Timeless Children kills it dead permanently. Malik Hot 63 has gifted 5 Nerdrotic memberships for $25. Hail, thank you. The members, thank you. Our future members. Inakmamon, abuser of Streamlabs, for $5 says, Chris is to movies the way Mark the Cyborg is to video games. Go ahead and rant with multiple unending tangents, buddy. Let the autism flow through you. Let it flow. The autism surrounds you. It's in the rocks. It's in your action figures. It's in...
Yeah.
Maggie for $10 says, my brother and I went to the theater for a double viewing of Godzilla and the Boy and the Heron. And there were free posters. Almost all were gone except a huge stack of the Beyonce movie ones. You know what I suggest you do? Grab them and send them to Jeremy this year for a New Year's present. He would really appreciate it because Beyonce is Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers' absolute favorite artist in the world.
Yes, queen.
Is that true? I never
Totally true. Absolutely
okay, good,
true.
good. Oh, it's true.
1,000% true. I would never lie to you about that.
Can't you tell?
Not applicable for $2. For once, Chris is freaking nailing it. Well said. What do you mean for once?
For once, what are you talking about? Although it's interesting, I saw on Twitter, when you had the Twitter tab open, RIP Doctor Who has been trending. It's been trending for multiple days. That's crazy that's done that. And universal basic income, which my understanding is Canada, they're now talking about this seriously. Every Canadian citizen gets $3,000 a month. You know what that's going to do to your money? It's going to make it worthless. Just an FYI.
Yeah. All the increases in minimum wage in California have led to layoffs and robots, in fast food restaurants.
Dumb robots. I've seen those dumb robots. I don't know how they don't get stolen.
Well, it's probably just going to be self-serve. Yeah, it's not going to help. Universal income is just going to lead to a lot of immigration, which is going to lead to your dollar losing value and lead to a lot of Canadians moving to America.
Hi, please welcome me.
If you voted for Trudeau, you can stay.
Yeah.
You can come
Only
here,
the
X-Ray
first
girl.
time. Only the first time.
You can come here, X-Ray girl. You can definitely stay though if you voted for Trudeau. Second time. Odin79 on the Streamlabs side for $10 says, Gary, congratulations on 10 years sober. That's right. Today is my sober birthday. That's right.
27th. Congrats.
Yep. 10 years sober today. One day at a time. One day at a time. I appreciate it every day. Thank you. Chris, have you seen He Never Died with Henry Rollins? Rewatched it last week. Solid indie movie. Thoughts on it?
I've never seen it. So He Never Died. Haven't heard of it. Now I'm going to look it up.
I'm going to have to watch that one. I haven't seen that one either.
That's cool, but thank you for the suggestion.
Ministry of Wrong Thing for $9.99. Imagine going back in time 5 years and telling your past self Disney will become a failed cesspool of debauchery while South Park is one of the most based and moral things on television. Yeah, dude. They had a great year and they just had 2 specials basically. No, did they have 3? I think they had 3. Earlier on in the year, they had 3. Matthew Faxin for 2 parts, $15 total, 15 Canadian pesos. Maybe all the studios shouldn't be putting so much money into these films. Bring the budgets down, and then maybe you'll get a bigger return if the movie is good. They are going to have to do that. But I mean, that's just not how uber big corporate globalist America works. So I'm not sure how they're going to deal with shrinkage because the investor money will dry up. And the fact is, most of the studios technically have no money. It's a giant shell game. Matthew, also, Chris, did you see Iron Claw and did you like it? I watched it yesterday and I loved it.
Yeah, I did an early review of it. I saw it like a month ago. My God, it's so good. I am going to go see it again. I saw Godzilla -1 for a fourth time yesterday, and I got to see Iron Claw at least a second time. It's that good. So, yeah, you should see it, Gary. You would like it.
Oh, I will see it.
Take the fam. It's just a straight up like biopic with a great message about family, and it's brutal at times, and it's a true story. So yeah, check it out.
Lord Botha for $9.99. People don't watch regular season basketball and baseball because too many games. They have no stakes. Shrinking of number of movies released will make them matter more. Rarity drives value. You're not wrong. Oversaturation. It worked, especially for baseball back in the day when there wasn't a lot of entertainment. But yeah, you're right about that. Nate Houseman for $10 says, human beings intuitively know right from wrong. In the Western tradition, this phenomenon is called the law of nature. Woke entertainment intentionally goes against it. It's well said. Well said, Nate. Crit Nature on the Streamlabs side, 3 parts for $15. Hey guys, wish you a happy holidays. I don't know why you both regularly say that Disney is a girls brand, which doesn't make sense. Disney was never that. It was always a family kids brand. It's not even the case now because now they're branding to activists. And we all know that today's feminism is all about empowerment and girl bosses. Ain't no girls, they're men. Aladdin, Hercules, DuckTales, Pirates of the Caribbean, all shows and movies that I grew up with. Yes, they are section for girls. Well, yeah. But there is only a section of it. Princesses are part of the fairy tales. That is family stuff, which is Disney originated. So common. Let's not get delusional here. Just because there's fairy tales and castles and logos doesn't make it a girls brand. Well, okay. It's a girls brand. It's a girls brand because it's a girl.
I think it's a girls brand.
It's a girls brand.
It's a girls brand now. It may have evolved. Like in the 70s, they always saw it as like a family brand. In the 60s, family. But now I think it evolved kind of in the 90s. You saw that creep. Not that like boys can't, there aren't things for boys in those movies.
I'll say,
we're not saying,
Chris,
you know.
Okay. Yeah. So the driver is mom taking kids. Generally dad isn't taking kids to these movies. They had the resurgence in the early days and it started out that way, but it definitely turned into Disney princesses. That's why they bought Star Wars and Marvel. They knew they were a girls brand. Were they a small children, toddlers brand too? Sure. But they evolved into a girls brand. That's what forced them to buy Star Wars and Marvel. They said it. So I'm going off of what they said. But that era in the 90s was a small era of Disney, which has had its problems in the past. 80s were pretty shitty. You know, and they tried with Tron and the Black Hole. I was there for that. Watched those movies, liked them, but then they gave up. Then later on, they did Touchstone Pictures, which were successful in the beginning. They did a bunch of, R-rated comedies and Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Don't forget Rocketeer.
They did Rocketeer. So they have tried in the past, and they never could get the male audience to go. The older male audience, 18 to 34. That's what we're talking about here. So we're talking to 18 to 34. So we could get into semantics about it, but Disney is a girls brand that turns Star Wars and Marvel into a girls brand. They just have, because they defaulted to their factory settings with both when they didn't know what to do, which was a girls brand, and a small children's brand, which mostly moms took the kids to. Did dads go to see when the films were for the whole family and, with Pixar, that anybody can go see The Incredibles. Like Incredibles is like is in my opinion, the best Pixar film ever made, and the best Fantastic Four film ever made. But when they had those successes, they defaulted, Frozen. You gonna tell me dudes are going to see Frozen? Frozen is the most Disney, like it's in their wheelhouse. That's the Barbie wheelhouse, by the way. That's why it was successful. They knew their clientele, and that's why that one was fucking huge. It's a girl brand. It's a girl brand. Sorry. Anakmaman on the Streamlabs side, 3 parts, but thank you for the super chats, and I respect your opinion. Part 1, when Chris talked about directors criticizing actors and how they need to hear the truth, I remember the story about Michael Bay. Rob Corddry, while promoting Pain and Gain, said Bay was his favorite director because of how mean he is. Every other director I work with, they always say, okay, how do you feel about that take? Which literally tells me nothing. Bay, on the other hand, says, Rob, your ad lib totally bombed. If you can't come up with anything funnier, stick with the script. That's not even being mean. That's being fucking real. It's like, dude, it sucked.
That's the thing. And also when you're casting directors that are there, not necessarily out of merit, I think that becomes then an issue, because how do you then communicate about issues related to quality and whatnot? I think that's what's led to so many things that are meh. When I was coming up with my best and worst list of the year, it was hard to come up with ones that were worst and best, because mostly everything is just meh, it's just sort of like, it's okay. It's, and this is how I feel about a lot of stuff I see these days, where it's just like, well, that was fine, but that didn't move me one way or the other. I actually appreciate when something is so bad that it's worth noting, because it's like, well, it's memorable in its badness, and that's something. But yeah, I love hearing director stories of just like, no, this isn't, like even Irvin Kershner and Harrison Ford, when they were doing the original scripted line for The Empire Strikes Back was, I love you too. That was in the script. And Harrison Ford was like, Han Solo would never say that. They stopped shooting for half a day, and George Lucas was personally funding The Empire Strikes Back with a bank loan because he didn't want to be owned by a corporation. He wanted it to be privately owned. So I love those stories of, this isn't working. We gotta fix this, and it's about being honest. It's about being honest. And if there's one thing that I know Hollywood is awful at, Hollywood and politics,
Honesty.
Being honesty.
Part 3
Brutal
of this,
honesty.
Yes, and he gets brutally honest here. In part 3, he says, every time you're fucking like that, is it fucking or fuck? Every time you fuck like that, we have to reset. Every time you fuck up, I'll say a shot. I don't know if every time you, every
it's like
time.
Quotes. I didn't want to change it.
Every time you fucking like that, every time you fucking like that, we have to reset the entire shot, and you put us all behind. Again, either step up your game or stick to the script, or I will find someone else who can do it better than you. I was like, thank you. I could actually use that. Yeah, it's called motivation. It's called do your fucking job or you're fired. There's ways to do it, but it depends on how many times he's done that. And Darth Maul's lower half for €2 says, Dan is catching up. Gary, do something. Well, he just released a video. I have one coming.
Catching up. Where is he in this war?
Let me see. He is 931.
Yep, he's catching up.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I have a video. Don't worry.
Okay,
I have a video
top
coming out
five.
in 28, 29, 30, 4 days. I have a video coming out in 4 days.
Can you tease it?
Yeah, it's top 5 woke Hollywood disasters of 2023.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I love that.
It's going to be.
You gotta do it. You schedule it so it's like it premieres, so that way like people can chat during it. I love when you do that.
Maybe. We'll see how it goes. The members are going to get a preview on Friday, so you'll get to see a preview that's amazing. Perry's just fucking killed it. It's got a theme. Perry likes to he themed the last one kind of like 50s horror. He's doing this one in a specific theme, and I think it's very good. Red Vader, Red and Vadered for $2 says, late again. Gary must be taking another shower. LOL. I did, as a matter of fact, but I was. Jackson loves Nintendo for $4.99. Hey guys, thanks for all the great videos and streams this year. And now I get another one on my birthday. Happy birthday. Hail to the fellowship and hail Nintendo. Hail Nintendo. Alex Stein for a guest appearance says Burb Shib for $2 Australian. Probably on Friday Night Tights. We'll get him back. We've had him on before. Anakmaman, abuser of Streamlabs for $5. I finally saw Attack of the Dock. It was great. I also saw A Christmas Story Christmas. It wasn't as good as the original, but it had heart. Recommend. Okay, there you go.
I've heard that. I haven't seen it.
John Gibson for $5. Another clip for X-Ray Girl is from UHF. Surprise. Surprise. Big Red Rider for $4.99. If the cinemas want to succeed, they need to enhance the experience. Offering a chair screen and snacks at a premium isn't enough. 4DX is a start. Hollywood has to give them something too, right? And Hollywood needs to bail them out. That was my argument last time around, was when they were begging for bailouts. It's like, well, Hollywood needs them. They're the ones who can fucking bail them out. I'm not going to bail out a fucking movie theater. As much as I love them, my tax money needs to go to like roads, the minimal shit, not pretend. No, hell no, fuck no. I feel the same way about sports stadiums. Like taxpayers should never, ever, ever pay for a fucking sports stadium. Fuck that shit. Those owners are rich enough. They can do it themselves. Scotty for $4.99. The inevitable Lord of the Rings reboot will be lit as fuck. After trans Frodo gets to Mordor, the voice of Sauron. Oh my God, I can't even see this. Nahasa
Pima Patelin.
Will tell him, thank you, come again. Thank you, come again.
Oh, no.
What? I don't even understand what that was.
It's Indian Sauron. Thank you, come again.
Oh, no.
Japanese Demon Lord for $2 says, a great French movie, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Yes, it is. That is a great French movie. Loki Aroth for $2. Say it, Gary. What is it? J'aime la France.
J'aime la France.
J'aime la France. Love you all. J'aime la France. I can't say. I don't speak French.
I love French. Or France, sorry.
What? Were you saying something? Look, I don't speak Spanish.
DRT is king for $5. Legendary Godzilla movies feel very Showa era. I hope it will end in aliens behind if the Futurons showing up. If the Futurons show up, it's Kaiju Wrestling Federation. Yeah, it looks stupid as fuck. I saw the trailer.
It looks so dumb. It looks with the pink.
Dude, the fact that it's called Godzilla X Kong. It's like Godzilla times Kong. What the fuck is that?
That's some dumb marketing person's idea who doesn't understand.
Everything needs an X or fire. Like a Child of Fire was such a fucking lame fucking name for Rebel Moon. But it did allow me to name it a Dumpster of Fire, which I'm very grateful for. Just got an email from Amazon Prime saying they're running ads starting January 29th. Ad-free option is an extra $2.99. Oh, I'm sure that won't. That'll probably prevent piracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fucked up way to do it. And that's also another way of showing that it's not making any money. They wouldn't resort to that and pissing off because they know it's going to piss off customers. Most people are still going to do it, but they know it's going to irritate people. And it's because Amazon Prime, the streaming service, is not profitable. It's not profitable. Peter Ski for €5 says, a late Christmas miracle. I saw Godzilla -1 today, and I sympathized with and emphasized with the characters, even though none of them look like me. Awesome movie. I know, right? Especially Godzilla.
I know that is such a. First of all, I've talked about this stupid thing of like, so I want a character to look like me. That's such a narcissistic way of looking at the world, and you miss the opportunity to learn empathy. And this is, I just think there's so many bad ideas that have spread like a virus that has led us to where we are, where it's affected entertainment. So I mean, I really, you see the emotional layers. The more I've watched the film, the better it gets. -1, and I'm watching this, and just the sense of sacrifice and these men knowing they're going to their death, but they're going to fight because they can't depend on the government. They can't trust the government or the United States. So I don't know. There's so much to love about that movie, but that's stupid. There are just so many bad narratives out there that spread, and they all kind of seem to come from colleges these days.
Yes.
It's really just awful.
Sleeping Ninja has donated $20. Hasn't said anything. Thank you very much, Sleeping Ninja. You can go to sleep now. Bebop 1988 for $2 says, Disney, just give Ryan Kinnell carte blanche, especially as a DEI officer. I highly recommend him. I'll write a letter of recommendation. Rick, a comedy Let's Plays for $5 says, meanwhile, anime has 80 releases in January alone for ages 10 to grown adult and has shows for guys, gals, both without alienating anyone. Boo Disney. Yep. It's a great way to get a part of that market share. Allison Eduardo Coito for 10 Martian pesos. About Nintendo, I can pull all my chips in an adaptation. I can put all my chips in an adaptation of the movie Ocarina. Is it Ocarina of Time? N64, respecting the lore of the game. $1 billion movie, easy. Hail from Brazil. Happy New Year, everyone. That's a good Brazilian, unlike Dan Bask. Jorah96 for $1.99. Favorite Ed Brubaker book. Do you like him? Any recommendations? Yeah, I mean, like solo stuff. I wasn't really into like he did Criminal, right? I liked his Captain America run quite a bit, but his Daredevil run's pretty fucking good too. There you go. Kaloth for $10. Hail, if you want to poke at classic cinema, check out Dr. Detroit with Dan Aykroyd. I saw it in the theaters. And a very appropriate high price call girl, Fran Drescher. You will laugh. Here's to another year with The Fellowship. Hail. I saw that in the theaters.
I did as well.
And Devo did the theme song, right? Dr. Detroit.
That's true.
Zion 42 for $5. D Plus won't even call the show formerly known as Doctor Who a Christmas special. You're right. They called it special number 4 because that will be acknowledging Christianity, which they now hate. So in the UK, they called it a Christmas special. On Disney Plus, they called it special number 4. Fuck Disney. Bass player 2011 Iffy for $4.99. Western Animation desperately needs some Don Bluth. Someone who comes out of nowhere to show the major studios how it's done. It'll be some kid who finally gets a hold of some AI that makes 2D animation easier and not as expensive, and that might happen. Not applicable for $2. Who doesn't like to snuggle? Oh, right. Women. LOL.
Lies.
Red French Moon for €5. How am I supposed to say this? Joyeux Noël. Oh my God. You do it.
Everyone, let's not forget the D files on Film Threat. Also, it's like studios think audiences are like the reaction channels. We are not. Joyeux Noël. I think I said that right.
Yeah, a reaction channel does reactions of other channels, other things, and just sits there and eats cereal or nuggies from their mommy. Some do it much better than others. Some people do. I wouldn't call them reactionary. I would call EFAP commentary because they break it down autistically. Analyze it. Solid Monkey for $5. Hail Gary and hail to the chat. NFL is categorized as sports entertainment. It is as real as wrestling. It's a betting monopoly for those on the know. Yeah, it's just embrace the gambling thing completely, and it's just not a very good sport. And fuck the NFL. It was very easy to break away after they ripped my team out of my city, my hometown. I do maintenance for Victoria's Secrets around the distribution center. They had gotten rid of all the fatties on the ads now, says Sir Marhas for $4.99. Well, yeah, they want to survive. Nobody actually wanted to see that. Like, who in the that's going to be look back on history. It's like maybe the worst thing, worse than Bud Light, anything was Victoria's Secret deciding to do body positivity. Freddie, like what? Freddie Barbarossa for $29. Norwegian krona. Mantrap equals pizza, beer, football, boxing. Great con for $5 Australian. According to Chris's friend's article, if these yearly budgets are $25 to 25 to 29 billion, do a few films losing $1 or $200 million really matter? Hail to chat. Well, I mean, like, losing money is losing money.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess losing less money, that matters with streaming when they're out there going, hey, Paramount only lost $250 million on streaming and not $500 million. I guess there's some way you got to put it, but losing money is losing money. I got B5 Blu-ray box set for Christmas. I know what I'm doing. Matt Guy for €2 or £2 says, yes, you're watching Battlestar Galactica. I saw Godzilla -1 5 times in the theaters and loved it. What was your favorite movie of the year, Gary? Godzilla -1, Imperial Guard for $5.
Same. No argument. No argument. It's one of those ones like, how is this movie? I'm still thinking about it, right? Like, and we'll continue to think about it. Really, when it comes to doing a best and worst of the year list, what movies are like where you can't stop thinking about the movie? They resonate into time, and I think that that's something to keep in mind when picking those films. But I can't think of something better. Even when I was putting together like a bunch, like just like, I don't know, these don't resonate as much as this movie. So there you go.
There you go. Fluggy for $5. The trailer for the Origin movie is even worse race baiting movie than the American Society of, wait, hang on. I can get there.
Oh no.
I can get there.
Oh.
The American Society of Magical Negroes.
I'll have to watch it.
Origin is Ava DuVernay's new film. But they pushed it. It was supposed to be released this year for Oscars, and they just decided, no, we're going to dump it in January. So I think that says something about that film. I have a theory about that, but if I say it out loud, it'll sound racist.
What? Because the movie's probably racist? Because it's from the racist Ava DuVernay?
I think that audiences don't like these films, and I do think it's pushed people away. Where movies, if we weren't in such a hyper polarized environment,
they probably check them out, you know.
They probably go check it out, but now it's just like, fuck this. I'm not going to go see a movie from someone who is stating they don't like me. This is why I think that the movie that Eric was talking about earlier, I think that movie is going to bomb as well, because people are just fed up. It's just like, it's not going to be general audience. It's going to be like, was it you that tweeted something of like, here's the audience for that movie, and it was all just a room of white women?
No, it wasn't me, but I would agree with that. That's exactly what it would be. It was a bunch of fucking white women.
Exactly.
Woke white women. Cyberhunk 2069 for $2. Channel idea. Pitch, critique, story ideas from fans. Nah. It's not what I do. But they should actually, you know, fans should write stuff, not fan fiction, in my opinion, original stuff. But good idea, but not something I would really do. I don't want to. It's not my place. Plus, I cover pop culture. I remember when indie films were just gay cowboys eating pudding and Hollywood was king. My, how the turntables have turned, says Adam West for $5.
Yeah.
I think if you want to pitch like story ideas, I would pitch it to a writer. I'm not a writer. So
yeah, I get people that want to pitch me. That's not the correct pathway. You really should not be sending anything out unsolicited to anyone unless it's a script reader. So contact Script Doctor through his YouTube channel or Twitter, social media. The other thing is there's a website called InkTip. Go to inktip.com. The purpose of that site is to connect people who've written screenplays with producers who have funding.
Yeah, and I think Script Doctor, real quick, I think he charges a fee. I think he costs,
which is totally worth it.
Yeah. He's not going to do it for free.
Of course not. Of course not. But a good script reader will give you notes. The other thing is, if you have an idea, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
Don't go around telling people your idea. If you think it, ink it. Don't sit there and go, I've got to get, because I live in a town. Everybody has an idea for a movie. The bartender's got an idea. The guy who just handed me my McDonald's has an idea for a movie. That's pointless and worthless. You have nothing. What you need is a screenplay or a novel or something that exists that you can put your name on. If you've got an idea, you have nothing. So, and I'm sorry, you know what? I'm being mean. I'm being mean because I want some of my best bosses were the ones that were just freaking cold and just just said it like it is.
Yep.
Didn't care. And I appreciated that. Like, don't BS me. Don't try to like, no. Let's get right to it.
Get to it. Tell me the truth.
Tell me the truth.
Star Trekker 58 for 10 Australian dollars says Hollywood can't handle the truth. Best movie I went to this year, other than a foreign lizard film actually about people, was the Xmas movie Die Hard. Christmas movie Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie. Can Hollywood even make a decent movie anymore? No. I mean, like, it's once in a great while, yes, when it's in the hands of competent people. Japanese Demon Lord for $5. Everyone, please stop recompensing knockoff anime like Blue Eyed Samurai and Arcane Nagari. It keeps getting him away from true Japanese greatness. Oh, I'll still see it. I'll still see the true Japanese greatness. Don't worry, Matthew. But thank you. I got to get through One Piece, man. That's going to take me the rest of the time, and I'm okay with that. Matthew Hammond, in 2 parts. MLB lost its audience when they moved to cable and regional sports networks and away from broadcast networks. You're right. The summertime still has a limited amount of hit shows on broadcast networks. All broadcast networks should be a game of the week. Yes, but I mean, they're abandoning that model. It's going to be dead. Andrew Matthews for 5 British pounds. Can we have Lord Gravemaster do the audiobook for Gary's book, please? Lord Gravemaster?
Yeah, Lady Gravemaster's husband. He has a very deep
voice.
I can't mimic it, so
Maybe.
I'm not
Matthew Hammond, allowing MLB players to step out at pitcher's box to walk around the mound after every pitch caused the game to go from 3.5 to 4 hours. Yes, that was a huge problem. Games should be average 3 hours and limit dead time. Dude, in the 80s, games were like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes. Ain't fuck around. Fear the Tardo for $5. Tardo brought Snapping Turtle because Hope trained Tardo be ninja. Snapping Turtle just bite Tardo's finger. Who could see that coming? Lock it in. Yay. Not applicable for $5. I mean, there was woke stuff in anime, but it's limited. They don't have a culture divided over these issues outside of Netflix content is pretty tame. You're right. Herbizoid for $5. Gary, check out this 1 minute, very funny, safe for work clip about Zack Snyder's fetish with genitals. I don't know if it's safe for YouTube though, and the copyright strike. We will screen it and watch. If it's good, then we'll watch it we'll put it on Friday Night Tights. Please make a note of that, X-Ray Girl. Imperial Guard for $5. I've been a lifelong Godzilla fan, seen all 30 plus movies. What's your knowledge of Godzilla, Gary? I'd say like pretty normal. Like I've watched most of the movies. I can't say I've watched every single one. I watched them all the fucking time when I was a kid, and I kept up with them through the 90s and 2000s. I had a bunch on VHS, but I would not call myself an expert. No way. Just fan. A Giant the World Ender for $2. Nerdrotic. From crack pipe to pipeline to the John Thomas for $5. Wicked sounds like the neo-Marxist feminist sympathetic villain trip you ragged on in Disney for years. Oz the Great and Powerful did Origins better. Probably. I mean, Wicked is just, it like in isolation, it's fine. I think releasing it now will make it look like more girl boss shit. I wouldn't doubt that. And they'll probably lean heavily into the feminism.
100%.
Yeah.
But the play is really good. The play is a really good story of how you got to the very beginnings of the Wizard of Oz. So
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see. I think making it today. It's not gonna be great.
Holmes Geek for $5. Hey Gary, Lord of the Rings lore question for you. Did you know why Gimli did not know that what happened to Moria in the Fellowship? His father never told him. There were great distances. And yeah, it was all a big surprise in the movie. It was a big surprise in the movie. It's a little different in the book. But yeah, what you could assume in the movies is they lost contact. And that's what they said. They lost contact in the books for 30 years. It was like 30 years. Was it 30 years? Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But they had lost contact. They had never heard from anyone after that. There's a whole thing where Gimli talks about, hey, they got in there, things were good, then we never heard from them. So we don't know, They expected the worst, though. They did expect the worst. Cyberpunk 2069, but they didn't know it was a Balrog. So thanks for telling. The elves knew of a darkness, and that's why the scene between Gimli and Galadriel is so fucking good, especially in the books, because there's this hatred between the dwarves and the elves. And she's the first one to really, like, even Celeborn is like, fuck this. They dug up a demon, and he gets mad, and Galadriel's like, whoa. Like, he just lost all his, he just saw his home devastated, lost all his people. He's grieving, to his soul, take it easy on him. Take it easy on him. And he saw that kindness, right? And that's helped build the bridges, man. That helps build the bridges. Cyberpunk 2069 for $10. Thanks for telling the truth. I agree. Honest is best policy. I just like hearing people talk about story ideas and that what they mean. But Chris's way sounds the most respectful and intelligent.
Well, I don't know. You have to ask Alan. He and I have worked together now for since 2017. So 6 years. But we're pretty brutal. Like, when it comes to this isn't working on the site. This sucks. Now we've got a shorthand. So it's we need to do more of this. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know. Just but I have worked with people in the past that were rattled by right now we need to do this and we'll deal with your feelings later if I have time. That sounds kind of cold, but whatever.
It is. I mean, you don't want to be cruel, right? But
no.
Honesty is respectful, is showing respect.
Yeah.
That is showing respect. When somebody's dishonest with you in any way, it's not really respectful. There is a way to respect somebody's feelings by wording it a certain way. And there's certain times where, people just need to hear the fucking cold, honest truth.
Yeah.
That's what I do on my videos. I don't worry. It never enters my mind, Chris, when I'm doing a video about, let's see if I can turn my camera on this time. It never enters my mind if I'm going to be hurting somebody's feelings in Hollywood.
Oh yeah. Who cares about that?
I don't care. And I've been told, let's see if this works.
They don't care about you.
There we go.
Why should they don't care about you?
You know what? Once they start dialing down on the audience and the fans, maybe I'll consider it. But in the meantime, I am just a mirror. I am reflecting back to them how they've treated us. That's all it is. And I'm not, I've been asked, maybe you want to dial down using the word woke. No, because I think it's applicable. It's very applicable. I'll dial it down when it's not woke. Davy verse for $4.99. Little shill. I've written something out now. Mafioso Samurai, free with Prime, or $9.99 for paperback. You guys want a signed copy? Sure. Sure. And it's available, and it's called Little Shill. I've written something. Oh, he's shilling. Out now. It's called Mafioso. Yeah. It's called Mafioso Samurai. Okay, got that right. Steve Watson for 10 British pounds. If it isn't over 3 days, it isn't a proper sport. God. James Hunsinger for $5 talking about cricket, right? Cricket lasts for days, doesn't it? Chris, have you seen Redneck Miller? Saw it at Phila's first X Fest. What's that?
I've not seen that.
No,
not seen it.
What's first X Fest dot curator?
I don't know what that is.
No idea.
Had ties to Quentin and got his copy. Amazing film. Gary, which
4K Lord of the Rings should I get?
4K Lord of the Rings. It's all one word there.
Sorry.
Which one? You can get them individually. There's the Middle Earth collection. You can just get the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit. None of them have the special features that Robert Meyer Burnett worked on. So I was talking about this with Mahler today. I built my own super duper extended version with those appendices in a box set that's pretty fucking hard to get. So it's the big one. I forgot what it's called. It's the Middle Earth collection. That's Blu-ray. That's a giant box that comes with a wood bookshelf, and all the Blu-rays look like books.
That's
so
cool.
I took out all the discs and I put in all the 4K discs and the special features from the gold Lord of the Rings special edition from a while ago. So I made my own.
Did you see what happened with Robert? Now he's being sued by Alec.
Yeah, I did.
So-called. And it got demonetized. That was such BS. I knew exactly the GIF to post in there, which was Kirk from Star Trek 3 kicking that Klingon in the face and falling down to the lava. It's like, I'm just that guy, he is so litigious. It's disgusting. And I appreciate that Rob is brave enough to talk about this stuff, but this guy is so full of S.
Well, he's been able to get away with a lot of shady stuff because people have been, because he passed, Alec Peters passed the bar. So he can file work and it doesn't cost him any money.
So
and in my opinion, it looks like it's become a bit of a revenue stream for him because he's in a lot of trouble. Because I learned from Robert Meyer Burnett's live stream that I don't know for a fact because I haven't seen the paperwork on it, but that he got sued by Paramount CBS for making the fan film, breaking some of the rules, and now I learned from this, don't know it for a fact, that he owes that Alec Peters might owe CBS or Paramount like hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that. So that being said, they brought in Paul Jenkins, a comic book writer who had worked on this fan project. It's a fan project, by the way, that is not supposed to make any money, that nobody owns any copyrights for or anything like that. Axanar. Everybody knows about Axanar. Prelude to Axanar, damn good trailer. Rob worked on it. They crowdfunded a bunch of money to make 2 15-minute projects that was originally going to be a movie, but they had a settlement with CBS, blah, blah, blah. And in 5, 6, 7 years, they haven't been able to make shit.
It's unbelievable that this guy has, who would believe in this person? They haven't made the thing they promised.
Yeah. So Robert, he claims Robert stole money from him. Robert, it was proven through the paperwork that they showed with Paul Jenkins that no, that was money he was paid to a company, from one company to another was paid. Right. That's called payment. Robert didn't steal any money. So Alec Peters just sues everybody who calls him out. And Robert's going after him. Alec Peters has reached out to me in the past. I don't want anything to do with him.
Same. I don't want anything to do with that guy.
I don't want anything to do with that guy.
Bad news.
Yep. So he copyright claimed Robert's channel over the stream I watched every second of. And Robert's going to file a counterclaim, and we'll see what happens. But Robert did make a good point on Twitter. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the details of this, but Alec Peters copyright claimed him on a company that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't do that. So we'll see what happens. I back Robert Meyer Burnett 100%, and Alec Peters hasn't been able to make 2 15-minute movies that he's collected a bunch of money off of. Maybe he will someday. Don't really know. Don't care. I knew he was also throwing a lot of shade at Vic Mignogna for a long time. A lot of shade, a lot of public shade that he could probably have gotten sued for and didn't. We'll see. We'll see.
But Vic made stuff like Star Trek Continues. Like, he was such a careful steward of all that money, kept all the accounting, was public. Nobody got paid. I flew myself out and stayed at this cheap hotel where everyone was staying. It was party atmosphere, is fun, like going to camp, like going to Star Trek camp. And I got to appear in an episode. I mean, they did provide like food for everybody, so that was sort of, but there wasn't any payment per se. And Vic was so careful with that, and he delivered everything he promised. Everything he promised.
Yep, and this Axonar project just jacked everything up for fan films. I initially backed him. I fucking hated the fact, and I just knew, I didn't know all the details, but I'm like, this is a fan film. Why are you suing fans in fan films? That's fucking such a terrible approach. Yep. Now, once you get into the realm of making money off of fan films and crowdfunding, that gets into a really fucking murky area where, you know, I'm not a big, I don't back major corporations, but like they own the fucking property and they have a right to protect it. So, you know, there's a gray area. I think it's great to make fan films. It shows enthusiasm and it also markets your product for free. So I think you should be supportive of them as a company. But then, you know, if people are out there crowdfunding, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars and making money off it, then that's a problem. That is a problem. So,
yeah.
But
I mean, when George Lucas owned Star Wars, he did the Lucasfilm Fan Film Festival.
Yeah. Like that's smart.
And he gave out awards like personally, and they featured them at Star Wars Celebration, the early ones. And it was great. He was very supportive of, you know, being able to play in the great thing about all those fan films, they all thank George.
In all things, Chris, there's always one guy or gal
right
who fucks it up because they're greedy and they're narcissistic and they're sociopathic and yeah, you know, it's too bad. It's too bad.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry to do this. I know there's only a few soups left, but I got a show in like 15 minutes.
All right.
All right, well, let's hear if they're quick.
There's three more.
Three more.
And we're going to end with Fear the Tardo. I'm going to go through it. Rogers, that 95 for 20 British pounds. Proper Money says Netflix is working with Wit Studios, made first 3 episodes of Attack on Titan, season 1 of the Vineland Saga, etc., to remake One Piece anime. I hope that it's faithful and better paced, though Netflix makes me anxious. It's going to be years till we see it anyway, so we'll see. Imperial Guard for $2. R.I.P. 90s Godzilla suit actor. I don't want to mess up his name.
Kenpachiro Satsuma.
Thank you. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, good man. And we'll end it with this. Fear the Tardo for $5. Tardo no can write good, but can draw with crayons. Crayons taste like purple. Does that mean Tardo can write for Marvel or DP Comics? Lock it in. Yay. Yes.
DP Comics.
You are qualified.
Oh, no.
All right. We're going to wrap it up there while my camera's still working. Chris, what's coming up?
Doing our live stream with Alan on the Film Threat YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, we're trying to get to 169,000. But I want to thank everybody. A lot of people from here. Go check that out. So I'll be doing that in 13 minutes. We'll see. I might be a little bit late, but we're going to do our best and worst of the year. We're going to review films that open on Christmas Day, and we're going to talk to Alex Hyde White. The original Mr. Fantastic is going to be on the show. He is an actor that's been in a ton of movies, including Indiana Jones. He played Mr. Fantastic in the Roger Corman film. He's our interview at the end of the stream. He's going to be talking about his book, which is My Life in Film and TV. Super, super cool guy who I met when I was on the set of the Fantastic Four Roger Corman version back in the early 90s, which was weird. So there you go. So yeah, I gotta run and jump to that stream.
Do it.
Thank you. Always great to be here. X-Ray Girl, love your mug.
Thank you. The person who gave it's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Enjoy the mug.
All right.
Gary, I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
And I'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Next week.
I'll see you in a year. And thank you to the chat. I love, like, during the stream checking. I don't know if you've checked Twitter, your @ replies, all little memes of X-Ray Girl, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. You should share them.
They really
good.
like to meme X-Ray Girl.
They do. They do. Better her than I. So take care. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be watching on FNT. Peace out. Take care, everybody.
Bye,
Later.
Chris.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
People are tweeting me like, bunch of people watched Rebel Moon. That's great. A lot of people watched, 1.7 million used households watched a shitty movie. I don't care if a bunch of people watched it. But yeah.
I'm looking at my tweets. There's Scary Movie 4, Hero.
Hero. And
Thank you.
it's 48 to 70. It's 48 to between 48 and 72 hours on Twitter is usually when the same people come in to start criticizing stuff. It's like, okay. Meanwhile,
There's a delay.
yeah, I don't know how that is. It's so weird because it's not. It's only with certain things. That's great. That's fantastic. That means we're going to get more Zack Snyder. We'll see how that part 2 does. Because a lot of people tuned into the part 1 of the Witcher. And we'll see how it does. But it did only half as well as something like Extraction 2 and Leave the World Behind, which I would never even watch. But if you liked it, cool. I have no problem with that. Just I didn't like it. What do you got coming up, X-Ray Girl?
I'm going to play more Red Dead Redemption with Mark probably later, and Poor Choices tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. So the last one of the year, as everything is this following week. So yeah.
Awesome. This is our second last live stream. No, wait. Forbidden Frontier. We're doing Forbidden Frontier on New Year. Yeah, so that'll be the last one on Nerdrotic Live. We will have a Forbidden Frontier on Sunday.
I'm excited.
We will have a Forbidden Frontier. We will have a Friday Night Tights. No Mauler, but we're working on somebody else.
Yep.
Working on somebody else.
On it.
Yep. And I got a video coming out Sunday.
There's one more super chat.
Read it.
Taker610 for $2 says, Gary, can you end with, in quotations, the scream? I don't know what that is.
What's oh yes, I can. Oh God, I'm not on the right computer. I think I can because I sent it to Mauler.
On your Twitter?
Yes. The scream from Rebel Moon. Yeah, I can do it. Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on.
I can find it too if you want.
I sent it to Mauler. I just got to make sure I don't show all our DMs, which are okay. You want to hear what me and Mauler's DMs are? He's like, "Hey, what Lord of the Rings gift set did you get?" And then we discussed that for
Oh my God.
for like an hour. But let's see if I can share this. It must be this. Yes. Okay. You probably won't be able to hear it.
That's okay. It's for the chat.
But they'll be able to hear it.
Oh, that's one. Image. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you, Taker610.
There you go. You ask, you shall receive. All right. Yeah. And yeah, video coming out Sunday. If you're a member, you're going to see the preview. It'll just be available Friday and then it's going to be down, but it'll be for the members. You can watch. It's like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of a 35-minute video. We appreciate Perry, who's working his ass off on it right now. And Quarter Black Garrett and you and Lady Gravemaster. Been great this year. Had a fabulous year. If you are watching this, please hang on to the link. It's going to be unlisted, but you can continue watching it if you got the link, or you can find it on Twitter, or you can wait for the re-upload on Nerdrotic Live, and it also will be available on Spotify and Apple Music and all places where you can find your favorite podcasts. In the meantime, thanks to the Modrotics. We appreciate you. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. You help keep the lights on. Everybody have a happy new year. And don't forget to send your top 5 worst list to Steve Weintraub on Twitter.
Make sure you at him.
Bye-bye.
Bye.